hold on. Someone is typing and it's very loud on the stream.
Is that me? Oh, sorry. I thought I was muted. My bad.
No problem. Okay. So I'm gonna introduce the panel now. First up here we have Sig Natural. We were previously on a panel together. I believe it was Bird Brain panel.
Yeah, you said like 2 sentences, I think, and then you had to leave because it was like it started really late, and you were like, I ran out of time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was actually impressed with you. I thought you were making a lot of good points there. But yeah, that was our only contact. But Sig Natural is kind enough to join us here, so we thank him for being here. So thank you for being here, Sig Natural.
I also thank myself for being here.
And Sig Natural actually came up with one of our discussion topics, which is great. Most times people don't do that, but he really contributed to this panel, and I really do appreciate you. So thank you so much, Sig Natural. Also, next, actually we'll skip him because we're gonna give him a special intro. We have Suspect Sushi, who is here as well, also known as Jafoof. He's been kind enough to join us in an interview type thing previously. It was a good conversation. We just got to know each other a bit, and we'd also been on another debate panel together as well. And I don't know, he was a fun guy. It was actually really fun to talk with him, and he's kind enough to join us here today. So thank you,
You
Jafoof.
forgot one of my names, buddy. It's also Suspect Sushi, aka Swole Team 6. You got to make sure you put that in there as well.
All right.
I've been Swole Team 6 from the get-go.
Where is that band
button?
button?
This man.
I'm not sure if you're talking to me, Demon Mama. I think you're talking to someone else. I'm not sure, but anyway, I'm gonna say hi to Demon Mama. Thank you for being here. I think we were also, maybe it was that same panel that we were on together at first. Yeah, here we are. Also, I barely got to talk to you too, but you were kind enough to join us as well, so thank you. And I'm sure this is going to be an amazing conversation, so I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. 1 second. Let's do that, and let's do this. Okay. Oh, all right. So that was that. All right, and then we have Endernax. Endernax right here. Endernax is the fan favorite of my channel. And he's all dressed up. You never dress up like this for my panels. You never. Okay, all right.
I did on the female stream.
Okay,
on the stream where there was like 9 girls. Dude, so
the female stream.
The female
stream.
It was just Prime in the middle, and it was surrounded by girls, dude.
Oh, no, Endernax, we're not saying like you shouldn't say. We're just saying use female instead of like women, right? Like,
oh, okay.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I also said girl.
So yeah, Endernax, he's on my channel all the time, and we absolutely love having him here. He's extremely charming guy, and you'll find that out soon. But yeah, he makes a lot of interesting points. All right, and then we have Mark Monkey. Hello, hi, Mark Monkey.
Hello.
Hi. I know very little about you. You're very much last minute addition. But tell us about yourself, because I'm not sure if I can give you much justice.
Well, I'm Mark Monkey. I've been around for a minute, but I haven't been doing roundtables for a little bit, just because I just got a little tired of them. But yeah, I used to do a lot of roundtables. I'm a democratic socialist from Flint, Michigan. I like to talk a lot about water rights. I like to talk about racial relations. I like to talk about a lot of things, poverty, and ways to cure poverty. From a lefty perspective, and I also do Rocksmith streams and play Sea of Thieves with touring on the weekends. Touring News.
Touring News, also a great guy that we've not talked to on the channel, but talked to before. A fantastic streamer as well, and I believe he might be in chat. But anyway, thank you for being here, Mark Monkey. Thank you for helping out. Filling in last minute. It's really fantastic of you. So I really thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah. And so I hope this panel isn't terrible. if you had gotten tired of panels, I hope this is an enjoyable experience for you. Okay, so also we have Mindwaves here joining us once again from last week on our inaugural debate type thing. Yes, Mindwaves, a fantastic leftist streamer. Always a bunch of fun. I actually really enjoy his stream. I've been there before. Very relaxing, very chill. He lets other streamers kind of just pop in and talk with them. It's really cool. Anyway, I really enjoy Mindwaves, and he's always extremely opinionated. That's why we love having him here. And so now finally, lastly, we have our man, the homie, Dylan Burns. Gotta put some respect on his name. Dylan Burns has been so kind to this channel. He's really supported us, like, from the beginning. He has a founder's badge to this channel. Always been supportive of us, and I always try to make sure that everyone knows that he's done so much for our channel. So we're always thankful to have him around, and he's been kind enough to join us on this roundtable. And so, yeah, thank you for being here, Dylan.
No problem. I love coming on your show. You run a great program here, my guy.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. We might have one other person joining us later on. Not sure. We'll find out. If they join in, that's fantastic. If not, that's okay. We got a nice group of people right here. All right. So if there's nothing else from any of you, we'll just get started. Okay. One second. And
Just a real quick test. People in chat were saying my volume was really loud. I don't know if that's still the case.
yeah, I
You sound a little distorted.
It's
I
like
turned you down.
It's like a can of Pringles, you know?
Damn.
It does sound
You're
like
also-
that.
It's
You're also
not
very
it's not
quiet
loud
in
in
mine.
volume, it just has a lot of gain. So wherever you have gain, you might want to check that and turn it down.
Hmm.
Whether it's on your mixer or on your desktop audio settings.
And I want to thank you all for follows. I don't believe I had any subscriptions or anything like that, but thank you all for the follows that you give me. I've gotten a ton of followers. Like, I was getting so many followers that I turned off the stream alerts because I thought I was being bombed, like, you know, like bot bombed. I've never had this many people follow me at once. Never ever. Oh, someone did. Oh crap! Someone did subscribe. Oh, they used their Prime. Holy crap! I'm sorry. That was 13 minutes ago. Danetia. I'm sorry, I missed your subscription. Thank you for giving me a sub. Thank you. Welcome to the Worst Generation. Dylan Burns, thank you for re-upping your sub just now. Welcome back to the Worst Generation. Thank you so much. I think that was the only two. If I missed you, I duly apologize. But yeah, thank you for the support, everyone. Okay. So then we have another subscriber. Okay, supporting the Prime, Blue Haze. Yes, thank you for giving me your Twitch Prime. I really appreciate that. Thank you. We need the support here on this channel. We really do, actually. So thank you for that, Blue Haze. Welcome to the Worst Generation. Okay. Yeah. So let's get started. Thank you all so much for being here. Okay. So first topic of the night. Should Twitch be used as a recruitment tool of the military? So this has been a ongoing subject for quite a while. Twitch has esports teams that are run by the military that are here, and I think other and maybe other individual streamers that are recruiters of the military. Just being like regular streamers here. However, in their capacity as streamers, they talk up the military. I guess put out propaganda, and propaganda is a value-neutral term, so it can be good or bad, however you want to look at it. But it's propaganda nonetheless. And they've been using this platform to reach young people, to give them a great impression of the military, and then encourage them to join up, to recruit, and obviously they're reaching a lot of young minds here, and people are wondering if this is fair. AOC Alexandria Casa Cortez, the congressperson from New York, she recently introduced legislation to ban this type of behavior, on the thought that these people might be too young for this, and that we should wait until I guess people are older and more mature, especially since so many of these people don't. So many of the these recruiters aren't exactly saying they're recruiters for the military, right? They're not stating exactly what they're doing. It's a bit of a problem. So I want to ask, yes, so should Twitch be a recruitment ground for the military, the U.S. military? Okay, so I guess anyone can start us off. Oh, Signatro, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just want to talk to because someone I feel like I feel like I'm not speaking my point well in chat to a specific chat that wants to talk to me about this. There's nothing against having banner ads. There's nothing even against like having like the typical 5 to 30-second advertisements for like the military or whatever. Like those are like typical, those are traditional. The main problem that we're talking about here is like recruiting on Twitch itself, as in like being a streamer like I am, like you all are, at least most of you are. Okay, and having like this sort of setup where it's like, hey, I'm your friend, I'm a gamer person, we're in the Navy, we're in the Army, we're the Marines, we're just gaming all just like you, right? And if anyone has any questions, we'll be able to talk about it. They've got an entire handbook on how to act and their code of conduct, at least the Navy does, that I was able to leak online. And like that sort of thing, like trying to build this what's the word? The word that's really awesome.
Rapport?
No, not rapport. Parasocial. Trying to build Twitch is really big for building parasocial relationships, right? And if like we're using parasocial relationships to recruit young people, young impressionable people in the military, I don't really think that's right. I would say that it might be even a little bit more dangerous than like even like recruiting in like schools, for example, like high schools and all that.
So if I can jump in and oppose this, I'll just go ahead and start. I don't know. To me, I have my own issues with U.S. foreign policy. I think there's a lot of things that we're doing wrong. I think that the fact that poverty is a recruitment tool of the U.S. military is probably pretty gross. But that being said, it is a good way out of poverty for a lot of people. But there's relationships already like this that are already occurring within the Marine Corps. Comes to mind. I have a friend who is trying to actively recruit his buddies who he had relationships with. Due to a promise of a promotion and a pay raise. This is something that happens like throughout all levels of the military. It's part of the recruitment strategy. They're present they're recruiting on literally every single platform: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, basically every media platform right now they're recruiting on. They have they use propaganda, and I'm saying propaganda as a neutral term. They use propaganda like sporting events to recruit people. They have recruiters who are not in uniform who are actively trying to recruit people in person. So I don't know. I mean, personally, I think that if we're going to allow them to recruit in all these other aspects of life, it's not really that subversive to recruit people on Twitch, as long as they're mentioning, hey, I work for the U.S. military and I'm recruiting. Like as long as they state that, I don't really care. It doesn't need to be plastered all over their channel. That's not how it works on any other platform. So
The way I see it, hopefully my audio levels are cleaned up now.
Much better.
Yeah,
much
sounds better.
Excellent, perfect. The way I see it, okay, there's been a long and pretty troublesome history of the military, specifically getting involved in gaming through, partnerships with gaming companies to display essentially ads for the armed services and military fiction games, which starts to blur the line between fiction. But also, this seems to be the next step in an increasing attempt to target younger and younger people. We all know that based on numbers that Twitch released, there's a lot of young viewers on Twitch, and having it be a constant messaging of recruitment, from channels that are hugely monetary backed by the most powerful government in the world is a really problematic relationship. So it's problematic not only as a form of really, coercive propaganda that convinces people to join into an armed force, but also it's really bad for the actual environment on this site. In fact, another streamer that a lot of us know named ChudLogic did some deep dive analytics on the military's esports channels. And as it turns out, most of them barely ever pull viewers, except when they explicitly are given featured streamer status by Amazon, by Twitch. So that's another problematic thing, which is that this has essentially become, by one meaning of the word or another, AstroTurf, which is terrible for all of the people involved in this marketplace. So there's a couple of angles that can be looked at, but I think the resounding answer is no. The military being on Twitch and using Twitch as a recruiting tool is incredibly troubling.
All right, so I don't think we're doing the hand raising thing, I guess, but Monkey was raising his hand longer than me, so go ahead, brother.
Okay. Yeah. The main thing that I wanted to point out is of course there is an issue with them spreading a certain message, reaching to children. As everyone said, everyone who has said no has been correct on the issue. The main thing that I like to concentrate on is accountability. How exactly can you hold the military accountable? It's a system that is far more powerful than any company that they're willing to use. Yes, they use Facebook. Yes, they use all these other platforms. But Twitch is unique in the way that they use things because it is so focused on live, reaction to live, speaking to people directly. You're able to reach out directly with everyone. And if they cross the line, like say, I don't know, doing a fake sweepstakes that just so happens to take you to a recruitment form that doesn't say anything about a sweepstakes, then that's kind of difficult for you to look at and be like, hey, I need to hold you accountable because they're the fucking military. What do you do in that case? Most people would be banned off the platform. What happened to them? They got a warning. I think that's a bigger problem than even just the propaganda that comes along with that.
I mean, that's how they would usually handle it with any other Twitch streamer that's partnered, right?
I'm pretty sure Ricegum did the fake thing, the fake loot boxing thing, and didn't get banned at all. He got banned off of doing something with a pistol on stream, but he didn't get banned for basically scamming children. So I don't know about that one. But I find it interesting. I don't have the analytics on this, but I would think that more children are on YouTube than they are on Twitch, right? So you're in the military broadcast on those. So are you saying that? Do you need to have some age restricted advertisements, because it's also on TV and it's also on radio and it's also if you just bypass a recruiter's office. So if a child sees this and has questions about it, you think that they should just idolize what it could potentially be, or they should get an actual legitimate viewpoint on what the military is like. But also, I have zero issue with it. I'm pro-military as fuck. I don't care if they're on stream. I don't care if they're streaming. I like the fact that they're streaming, and I'm cool with it. So whatever.
Before the next person, before Ender next, I just want to thank the 3 people who also subbed to me, or maybe it was 2, but Al Comer and Anubitus, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the worst generation. Thank you for using your Twitch Prime. Okay, Ender next, you're going to say?
Actually, sorry. I have one sentence if you don't mind, Ender next.
Sure.
Oh, Ender next is frozen out. I also think that if we are using, problematic, I believe the word was used, ideologies and advertisements and things of that nature. Oh, I was just saying really quickly, if we have an issue with the military espousing their beliefs or trying to recruit people into an ideology, then I also simultaneously have an issue with anybody who's an avowed communist, socialist, things of that nature, also talking to the general populace of children, because they're impressionable and they're learning shittier ideas.
Suspect Sushi. This is kind of bad. The military is an active organization paid for by the U.S. government with our taxes.
There's a difference between a national institution and an individual.
I don't care if you're saying it's bad for a national institution to do propaganda, then I also think that it's bad for people who have bad thought processes and theories about how a government should be run. Is also bad propaganda.
So Sushi, hold on. I just want to say, do you think? Oh no, it's fine. Do you think that a government-sponsored thing that uses all our tax dollars is equitable to some jagoff, talking about communist bullshit on YouTube? Do you think that's equitable? Do you actually think that's equitable?
I think that it is, because I don't think people should be teaching ACAB and things like that on the Twitch platform and be at the same time, it's problematic that the Navy is streaming. It sounds like a bunch of crap.
Sushi, you haven't explained. Hold on, you haven't explained. You said it's equitable because you don't like it. So I just want you to say how factually, right? How is it equitable? I just need you to say how is it equitable.
It's what do you mean? How is it equitable? It's fine. You're really hinging on the word. I'm saying it's perfectly fine for the military to advertise if you also want to advertise your fucking bullshit beliefs. I'm just saying.
I feel like
I'm really excited.
I'm sorry, but like listening to my stream is not offering like them the GI Bill and the possibility of dying in Afghanistan. I'm sorry, but I'm not doing that on my stream. I'm not capable of doing that because I'm not a government. Like, what the hell are you even talking about? This is insane.
The GI Bill and civic duty to your country is vastly superior than the DemSoc bullshit that people like to spew on Twitch.
Wait, Sushi. No, he didn't say that it wasn't.
What does that even mean?
Hold on, Sushi. He didn't say
what does that even mean?
One at a time.
You are like, dude, you have fallen off the ledge like right away.
I would rather someone be indoctrinated into a military ideology than a fucking DemSoc communist and cap ideology.
What is the military
ideology? Yeah, I'm sorry,
ideology?
but teaching somebody about Medicare for all isn't going to get somebody killed.
Wait, Mark. I feel like you're gonna like. I feel like you're getting a little. Hold on. What is a military ideology? These aren't ideologies. The military is a very tangible thing.
The military, the ideology of the military, like is civic duty. It's fucking honor above self. It's fucking doing something that's better, like that's above yourself.
You can't do military propaganda during this stream while we're talking about the appropriateous of military propaganda.
Wait. If everybody goes to my YouTube channel, you can see a do it yourself video on how to invade Iraq. It's really good. I hope everybody gives it a watch.
That would be fun, actually. But yeah, so the military, I guess what the things the military holds a special place, right? Like military has responsibilities, has powers that like other organizations, like lefty streamers, for instance, talking about ACAB or anything, they don't have the power, the reach, or any of that influence in the military. And like simply listening about like BLM or whatever, that doesn't put your life in danger, right? So so that's the big difference I think people are trying to say here. But you think, despite that, the military could literally put a person's life in danger in service of the country. That's still the same. That this organization should still be recruiting here on Twitch.
If you're using the words propaganda or indoctrination, then I just flip it on people who are spouting their fucking echo chamber beliefs over and over, and then they have.
Do you understand what the term value neutral means?
Value neutral. Yeah. What about it?
Yeah. Well, so when people are using the term propaganda and they're saying it's a value neutral term, they're not saying it's good or bad. They're saying it's something that exists. So if somebody is spreading propaganda, it doesn't mean it's bad. It means that they're spreading around a message, nothing more. It could be a good message. It can be a bad message. So to call it propaganda in the military side and then to all of a sudden be up your own ass about, people preaching socialism or something on Twitch, like it's the same thing. Like it's the same thing as military recruiting, trying to trick kids into signing up for the military, which I've known military recruiters. Holy shit. They have a terrible job that causes them to have to basically be the shittiest car salesmen in the world. That's not comparable in any way.
Dude, people make individual decisions. If they fucking speak to a recruiter on Twitch, it's still their choice as to whether they want to join the military or not.
All right, this is a hard pivot. Hard pivot. No. Note the pivot of just like of saying that now he's not going to say whether or not the two are equitable or not. He's not going to make that distinction, right?
I said one propaganda on one side is propaganda on the other, and I say I'm more than happy with saying that.
Hold on.
But no one is agreeing with that.
Can I speak to Sushi? I want to speak to Sushi directly because it seems like everybody's getting caught up in this whole like suspect Sushi like in his value statement about like military propaganda versus lefty propaganda, and I think all of that is like irrelevant. I think like what we're trying to get to, the underlying point that's being made is that like we have to analyze this from a different lens. Like we're looking at institutions versus individuals, right? And what we're saying is that if an individual goes on Twitch and starts spreading propaganda or, is espousing certain like, lefty ideals or whatever, that person has no real leverage on the day-to-day like living material like conditions that surrounds like this person, right? The person that is watching it or consuming it. However, It's fundamentally different when you have a government institution that is, you know, able to leverage a number of different you know, powers to influence the way that you live day to day, whether it be through policy or etc. That's why it's fundamentally more exploitative for a government institution to do that than it is an individual on Twitch talking about their communist propaganda or whatever the fuck you hate. So I mean, that's kind of the underlying point. I don't know.
I'm saying, dude, I also, during like the height of COVID, I actually don't think it's a bad idea for recruiters to speak to people through Twitch. So like, that's like, you think of it that way on top of that.
Well,
So, like,
no,
I
but
have no issue with it.
do you at least concede the idea that like it is fundamentally like more exploitative for a government institution to do so, more so than an individual going onto Twitch, right? You at least recognize that, whether or not you agree or disagree with the ideology.
As long as they're forthright about the fact that they're a recruiter, I have zero issue with them being on the platform and actively trying to recruit people.
Well, but that's kind of the problem, isn't it? That you can't really be forthright as a
You
recruiter.
say I'm a military recruiter
when you're dressing up your stream as if you're just an everyday other streamer, and 99
as long as it's in there about me or something like that, I couldn't give less of a shit. As long
okay,
as
so
they
like
say
you're okay with basically having like, you know, small text on the bottom that says like, oh, you know, despite
That
the fact
or
that
in
we're
chat
literally
room.
mimiking
They
other
do this in real
popular
life.
that or
They do this all the time.
right, which I would say I also have critiques of in real life. Like,
That's
I'm
like,
just saying.
just like I have no issue
so-
why there's churches and shit like that on.
Also, just a quick like consistency check. Do you think it would be okay for like say like China to recruit for their military on Twitch, like, and use monetary like incentives for that? Do you think that would be all right as well?
Well,
Since you're
first
okay-
of all, Twitch is banned in China. Secondly, you can't be a foreign national in the Chinese army, so your check is.
Oh, but wait,
fucking
are you saying there's
ridiculous.
no like? Are you saying okay? So like, say Russia then. Any other
Okay,
place?
well-
I didn't know. For
Well,
example,
once again,
that
you can't
China
recruit. You
banned
can't
Twitch.
recruit American nationals for that. So
But
I
you
don't
could
understand what's
recruit
sense.
other people. Like for example, there are
So-
Russian people.
So,
on
are you
Twitch,
saying
right?
so should Russian streamers allow for Russian military ads to be on there too? I have zero issue with that.
No, not ads. Like, as in, if the Russian military wanted to put millions and millions of dollars into making an esports team that ran propaganda for Russia on there, and also offered people, you know, Russians, money to join their military
Why not?
directly through Twitch, would you also be okay with that?
Why
All
not?
right, okay, that's good. I just wanted to find
Okay,
out.
I
if
want to
you
hear
were
from
okay.
Ender next. Ender next. You have something to add to this?
I just for me, and I didn't find it particularly analogous. I'm of the mindset that I wish our military was doing more productive things. I don't think that we're getting what we should be getting out of the military out of it right now with the amount of investment that's going in. I think we waste a lot of money. I think that we should probably, like, I actually don't have a problem with the recruitment tools the military uses. I just wish the military would do better things. That's my issue. I think if the military had a public work sector and they came back and started rebuilding America, that'd be great. I think if we pulled out of some of the regions that we're in and maybe shut down some military bases would also be great. But, you know, there's already, just so you know, like in middle schools, there's junior ROTC programs, like in some grade schools even, I think. So like we're recruiting at a really, really young age, and it's not just on Twitch. So I don't really have a problem with the U.S. military using Twitch as a recruitment tool. I have a problem with the things the U.S. military does. That's all.
And
I have a
so
problem
I
with
would-
all of
Ender
that.
Next, hold on. With what like Ender Next, with what you just said, I'm so sorry, Dylan. I'm so sorry. But with Ender Next, like I also agree, like with almost everything you said what the military should be doing and stuff like that, rebuild America. I actually really like that take. That's a good take. But like, just by saying that, like military also does this, therefore I'm okay with this. Like, if you also don't like the other thing in real life, also you probably would be against the Twitch thing, right? You know, so like the fact that like just because we're saying they shouldn't be on Twitch doesn't mean that we're saying that you know the stuff they're doing in real life is okay.
I will also say I think there is some value in joining the military. I think that they do instill certain like values, like discipline, like order, like respect for.
It's not for everybody.
But
No,
value
it's
can depend.
definitely not. It's definitely not. But you have to realize less than 1% of the U.S. population is ready to join the military in the first place. So they're already. I mean, yeah, the recruitment methods are pretty broad, but they're really only hitting like 0.8% of the U.S. population in terms of who they're actually recruiting. So maybe it has to be that broad to get enough people.
And they're not
So,
even meeting their recruitment quotas as of lately, I believe.
Nope,
Like
they
for a
aren't.
while now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's another thing. Like they ever since 2005, the United States, the last time they didn't hit the recruitment quota was 2005, and recently they have not hit the recruitment quota again. And this is something that is explicitly is the Army actually that hasn't hit the recruitment quota, which shows like why they're actually investing in things like Twitch and stuff. Is they're trying to expand the recruitment avenues to different things. Not only have they, and Hendrik seems very exasperated. Not only is it with that they're like doing Twitch esports teams, they're also sponsoring esports events. I remember at one point like a general actually like handed the award to somebody who won an esports tournament. So my problem with military recruitment, and I have a lot of problems with military recruitment, the incentivization, it's kind of like the same problem I have with like cops, that like when it comes to tickets, like you're incentivized to give as many tickets as possible, so you're going to do the best thing possible to get as many tickets out there. And so a lot of times you're going to, when it comes to military recruitment, you're going to use a lot of times a lot of scummy tactics and be misrepresentative of what an actual military experience is like. And that same thing I would apply to basically all military recruiters. I would also say when it comes to the Twitch platform, when it comes to them not labeling them as recruiters, they're technically not recruiters, but it's a loophole because what they do is they funnel you to recruiters, right? So they're like pre-recruiters. They're like a warm-up squad in chat. And the handbook clearly showed from the Navy, like he brought up, which leaked, is that part of this is to do this. Now, I will say that when it comes to the United States military, they do need to recruit people. And to recruit people, you do funnel money, a certain amount of money, into advertisements to get people on there. And I think if the Twitch esports team existed as kind of like the firing squad team, they have not firing squad, but they're like marksman's teams. They existed like that, and basically they presented themselves on Twitch as, we are another opportunity that exists in the military as something we do, as opportunity you could have available to you. Here's some other opportunities available to you. I would not be problematic of it if they were more transparent about what their mission on Twitch was, or if it was more on the just highlighting opportunities, right? The problem is that's not how military recruiters have engaged ever in the United States. It has been targeting certain communities for a very long time. When it comes to lying about what's going on, like lying, just generally recruiters lying on mass about like actually what's going on in the military. And on top of that, it's pretty scummy to pretend you're not a recruiter. My job is just to get you to recruiters. And the handbook clearly showed that. So I'm not against the U.S. esports team, U.S. Army esports team's existence. I've talked to many of the esports team's members. They're wonderful people, and they're getting a lot of harassment from this bullshit that I don't think they deserve. But to be completely honest, they need to engage in a better fashion or just get off the platform.
Yeah.
And you're next.
I would,
Go ahead.
I agree with that.
it just seems like maybe you have a problem with advertisement, because advertisement a lot of the times by any individual are like they're not presenting their product or their organization or something. And
you talking to me or talking to somebody else?
To you.
To me, well, no, I just said that I think they should funnel money into advertisements if they want to hit recruitment quotas. My problem is they need to be transparent about what an experience and the military is like. And that has never been how U.S. recruiters have acted. I'm not against them saying, hey, do you want to join the Army? Hell, I'm not even against the idea of the military being presented to youth in the correct fashion, much like, hey, career day, kind of like when the fireman comes in, when the cop comes in, when the taxman comes in, the IRS guy, and then the soldier comes in. It's like, hey, let me explain to you in detail what it's like in the experience of the military and find out if it's right for you. Not of like, be an action hero. CSGO has prepared you for a time and to shoot Afghanis. Like, I don't think that's the right way to like pitch this.
What do you mean? That's completely accurate. Everyone in the military does that.
Which is like also
one at a time. Thank you.
Are you saying that the individual citizen doesn't fucking do any research? Like for instance,
no.
Like
yeah, I don't think so.
Individualism.
Yes, collectivism is wrong, and if you're a collectivist, lol. But anyway, so like right now I'm cutting weight to join
good argument.
The Air Forces, Special Forces, right? I'm just not trying to get on that rabbit hole. We can have a conversation on that on the side later. But anyway, so like for instance, I'm trying to join the U.S. Air Force to join pararescue, right? I did my due diligence and researched the requirements, what it's like, how long your deployments are, and things of that nature. if you're interested in the military, I feel like most people are going to take that step to research what's going on. And if not, then I don't know, they're fucking stupid.
So
No.
me, but
Hold
me
on, suspect,
complaining,
hold on,
my
suspect.
complaint, my
No, no,
complaint about it,
Dylan's time,
my complaint about it was never the fact that I don't think people should do their own due diligence, but why wouldn't you not have a problem with people lying about what an experience in the military is like, which military recruiters have done for decades? So I'm not saying that people can't be like, I'm gonna counterprove this lie, but we all know, everybody who's a content creator should know that disproving misinformation is a lot harder than just throwing it out there.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
Also, it's really important to this conversation that we note that the military was banning people for bringing up critiques of the U.S. military in the chats. So, but
And they got in trouble for that.
and they got in trouble
can't-
for
yeah.
it, which is, and it's very well documented. So there's not only like, I mean,
When
even
they
if
bring
we
up
were,
criticisms inside the military,
wasn't
there's a
quite
rule against
finished
that. I'm asking you
Okay,
a question. I'm asking you a question.
sorry,
about
let me finish my sentence, because there was a clear silencing of dissenting opinions, even stuff just as simple as posting Wikipedia articles that linked to critiques of the military, but also that if you look just a little bit deeper, you see how manipulative the military's presence really is. They are deliberately choosing young people, setting up their things to look like a normal streamer, saying, hey, you could do this too. Look, I'm in the military and I'm a streamer, despite the fact there's like 7 out of the hundreds of thousands of military members. So that's dishonest in and of itself. They are cheating and lying with fake giveaways, and they're constantly playing partner games that strongly glorify violence, military, and give a fictionalized game version of what the military might be like. These things contribute to a constant reinforcement of misinformation.
Those
I
games
want
exist
to
for a long time.
I want to hear from Mark next, and then after that, Sig. Then we'll open it up. Mark.
Okay, so this also gets back into what I was talking about accountability. So if they're not allowed to ban people, and TOS tracks what you do in your chat and how you moderate your chat, and they're not allowed to moderate their chat, why can they be on this platform? If they get special treatment for being on this platform, they're not allowed to ban people now. So then they're not held accountable to TOS either, on top of them being able to slide through loopholes of throwing fake giveaways and sending them to recruitment things. Like this is ridiculous. Like let me put it this way. I understand that they need to advertise. I don't like it. I think if someone wants to pursue the military, they should, but instead, what they do is they target specifically poor communities like the one I live in, and they lie to people to get them to join the military, saying, yes, you can join the military, you can have fun, this will be great, you'll have all these career options. And meanwhile, 2 of my brother-in-laws are permanently disabled, and they weren't able to have a career after that. Like, cool, gee, thanks. I really wish they knew that before they went in, instead of, being told that, hey, they're going to have a job as a machinist or whatever. They never learned machinist. One of them drove tanker trucks through Iraq, one of the most dangerous jobs you can do at the time, around the time that the Iraq war started. And he has he has PTSD now, like really bad PTSD, where we constantly have to talk him off a ledge. Like, I'm sorry, I don't think he signed up for that, but it's perfectly okay for them to come here and pretend like they're going to do that. It's perfectly okay for them to show up to Call of Duty releases and tell kids, hey, no, it's just like that, except, and you respawn and everything. Like, no, fuck that. That's ridiculous.
So I also want to hear from Signatural. But before that happens, I want to welcome Pixie to the chat. Thank you so much for being here. We haven't met before, actually, at all, but I've heard nothing but great things about you. And I really want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. That's so sweet.
No problem. And so we'd love to have you jump in. But I'll go to Signatural next. Signatural.
You're the type of person. I used to kind of think like this a lot. If you're the kind of person that thinks of people as making like, oh, we're all just individuals making individual choices. Sushi had made the argument of just like, well, people should be able to just do research on these sorts of topics before they go in. People should be able to do research, and if they're not, just stupid, you know. Well, there's a lot of people out there that don't really do that much research. There's a lot of people that, you know, grew up poor, grew up not in necessarily in the best sort of conditions, that leave them in conditions that make it so that it's much harder for them to do those sorts of things. And when military recruitment places, like military recruitment places where near I lived, right, like actually go into those areas and stuff and talk to those people and all that stuff, that's them exploiting that. That's a form of exploitation to be able to do that sort of thing. Like obviously, if there's anybody like choosing something in their own form, like there are people that are going to be like, oh, they chose, that's it, oh man, what are you going to do? I feel like this is ignoring a significant amount of power structures. When I was in basic training, because you know I was in the army for a little while, when I was in basic training, the first thing the drill instructor said, the drill sergeant said, we came in, was like, whatever the fuck your recruiter told you, throw that shit out the window. That shit was a lie, okay? That's the number one thing, was just like, shut up, do what you're told. Okay, whatever fucking you said, oh, you go here, you go here. No. All right, because like that was one of the top things that we always talked about in there. Just going on a personal anecdote here, you know, like all of it was like, yeah, my recruiter told me this. Yeah, my recruiter told me that. You know, now I'm fucking eating shit on the ground all day. Like, what the fuck? All that shit, man. That's often what ends up happening, you know, because a lot of these people, they come from places that, you know, are kind of fucked up. That's
I mean, I grew up in Southeast DC most of my life during the murder cap when in the 90s, and I grew up poor as hell. But that doesn't mean that like, oh, I grew up poor, so obviously I'm less intelligent. No, like it's a more like once again, it's an individual thing. Like,
do you think that's what I said?
You did, right? You said, oh, people grow up in bad situations. They might not know about like, you know, investigating.
They might not. Might not.
Okay, so
less chance.
Okay, so less chance.
Do you believe that it's possible for people to be manipulated at all, or do you just not believe that it's possible for
I mean, that's what propaganda. That's what propaganda is. That's what advertising is. But basically,
no. Advertising isn't necessarily like. I mean, advertising is inherently
manipulation of the consumer. That's what advertising is.
I mean, yeah, you could argue that all advertisement has some levels, but I mean, we're talking about explicit lies. People literally like dangling cash in front of essentially cash.
Yeah, but the military gives economic growth to people in impoverished communities.
Okay, so when was the last time? When was the last time like you walked into like a Walmart and there was a Coke and Pepsi guy and both of them were vying to give you $20,000 to $30,000? You know what I mean? Like you're talking about a completely different balance. Like I don't even like. I have huge critiques of advertising, but what you're talking about is not advertising.
Can I jump in here for a second?
Go ahead.
So here's the thing, like even when it comes to advertising, when it comes to products that we say, you know what, this can like really harm our youth and our youth shouldn't like, you know, partake in this or anything like that, we still limit that advertising, right? So like it's not legal for Juul to try to get young consumers to partake in it. So how are we going to say it's okay for the military to still to try to recruit minors or like try to push them to do this dangerous like this thing that can be extremely dangerous by the point they hit 18.
Okay,
17 in the United States.
Those are considerably more subversive things, right? Like, so like they'll have like extremely young-looking people on their like posters or whatever to make them look like they're just like around the same age. So I don't know if it's necessary.
And and the military goes directly to high school.
The military makes military people look like fucking badass superhuman people. Okay, on their commercials. Have you seen a military commercial? That shit is not realistic in the slightest.
You're a hero. Join the military.
Commercial with the dragon.
I mean, going on Twitch,
just exaggerated. Like it's exaggerated too.
So the thing is, the ultimate dilemma we'd face here is that if it is the fact that we were to present, and this is what I think we should do, is when we go to advertising campaigns, if we were to have Twitch, the U.S. Army on Twitch, we are to have these things, then if we want them to engage ethically, we're going to need them to be a lot more honest about what the military is. Which
and I did mention that.
Well, yeah, okay. I give you props. And if that's going to happen, on top of that, we're going to have to realize that means we're going to actually have to funnel more money into advertisements than ever. Because if you can't lie to somebody and sell them bullshit, it means you're going to have to push out more messaging or so we can get more. But ultimately, some people be like, well, that's weird. That's actually funneling more money to the military. That is true, right? We could locate it from different resources. We could try different things to try to get the money there. We could do an audit. There's a lot of ways we can get the money there. But If we do that, that means the people who are going to the military going forward, or people who are going to be more accustomed, more ready, and more able to adjust to the military because they actually know the situation they're signing up for and they're willing to do the job, which is actually, in my opinion, going to be a lot more cost effective when we talk about military operations we engage in. And it's also going to be a lot more ethical when we're telling somebody, man, this is going to be a tough job. Are you really sure you're ready for it? I'm ready for it. That I actually won.
I want to hear from Mindwaves if he has something to add, and then I'll throw it back to Endernax. Mindwaves?
I'm not too invested in this topic. I don't really care about Twitch being on this platform particularly, like any more so than on Twitch.
Okay.
Twitch. I don't really give a fuck about the military recruiting on Twitch more than I do like them recruiting at like football games and like shit like that. I view them the same. I don't know. I think that what's more kind of I think that what's more the issue here and why it's controversial is because they were doing the giveaway that was sort of leading people towards like a recruitment site. Apparently there was some like fraudulent terms in the giveaway. So I mean, I don't know. Somebody insinuated that like the military channels like above the rules on Twitch, but I mean, I think they got a warning by Twitch, which is pretty much how they would treat any other partnered streamer for a first offense. I don't know. This seems like a non-issue to me for the most part. Yeah.
Does anyone else feel like it's more of a non-issue? I mean,
I do.
Obviously.
Okay.
I don't think it's an issue personally. I don't really care that much.
Not even a little bit.
I care.
Well, usually people who have nothing.
Well, yeah,
to do with
get it. Everyone else on the panel cares. The point is, like, I don't know. This I'm kind of indifferent to this topic. Like I've already stated, basically that if they are allowed on other platforms, they do the same thing, and I don't really care if they do it on Twitch. I wish the military would do better things.
No one's at all worried about the fact that the government and private corporations are doing this sort of weird marriage to promote each other.
But Twitch isn't unique in that way, like compared to anything else, right? Like they already have agreements with the NFL, which is arguably way more influential than fucking Twitch. Twitch is nothing in the grand scheme of things.
And I mean, there's a reason.
I mean, sure,
these kind of partnerships exist.
Wait, I don't know if you can say that. Twitch is like growing at a really rapid rate. Streaming is like
it's like 15 million people compared to what, like billion active users on YouTube?
It's a fraction of the viewership of the NFL.
But that's the same. That's like the same as being like going in the 90s and being like, oh, games. These video games don't matter.
No.
And then they go on to become the literal biggest entertainment.
No, it's not.
But
Twitch advertising on three
one at a time. Endernax and then Susie.
3 popular TV channels. Like, whoa. I'm so terrified, dude. Like, it's not.
So the argument that I'm getting right now is that I don't give a shit because I don't want to think about it. That's what I'm hearing from the other side.
That's just what you wanted to hear. Okay, that's cool.
I think not having an interest in the conversation overall. I think we could really talk about like being productive and reforming military recruitment tactics overall, because the same problems I have with military recruitment tactics everywhere is the same ones I have on Twitch. The only difference is that the problems have become Twitchified with the giveaway thing and with some other examples. So I would generally be calling for general reformation of military recruitment tactics, so we can get the people who are best for the job, number one, and so we don't get people in there who think they signed up for something else, get in there and they're like, oh shit, this isn't what I signed up for, even if that means we have to funnel more money into military recruitment when it comes into advertising, because I believe in not being predatory towards recruiting people into the military. I want to live in a society where a military recruiter can look at a kid and say, I actually don't think this kid's good for the military, and not still pursue this person because they want to meet a quota.
I don't think that you should honestly be able to advertise for anybody in the military until or that people shouldn't be in the military, at least for combatant positions, until the age of 21. Like, if you're not allowed to have like a fucking beer in the United States because that's considered like a hazard to the individual and also to like public safety, then what the fuck do you think war is gonna do, or potentially being on the battlefield?
One at a time.
I really think that that's a
Hold on. I just want to. First of all, we actually had this conversation previously. Hey, Bastia, that's cool. He's here. We had this conversation previously on my channel on the last stream about the age of consent, and then it went into the age of military recruitment. I was actually for raising the age as well. But I'm very curious as to what you all have to say. Hey, Bossy, can you hear us?
Yeah, it's good to be here. How y'all doing?
How are you? Fine. We're doing fine here. And thank
Go
you for
put on a
joining us.
suit.
No, I wasn't planning on doing anything today, but I saw a bunch of new folks here I haven't met before, and I thought it'd be cool to just kind of.
You couldn't wait till Friday.
No,
Okay.
no.
So
when you had start on it.
Yeah, I would have two quick things. One, I think it's interesting that when people talk about this, they always talk about combat roles. Like, I always think it's interesting that people just think it's a bunch of fucking ground pounders in the military. You could quite literally be a janitor. I'm tired of this. It's a stupid.
Well,
argument.
that's why I said specifically.
Hold on, no, this is specifically for you, Pixie. You said that advertisers limit the advertising for things that are detrimental to the health of Americans. But how can we have an unchecked amount of advertising of fast food to children when it makes them fat and it increases in heart disease? So that kills more people than anything else in America. So that's a huge fucking issue, but no one talks about it. It's interesting because the body positivity movement is bullshit.
I wouldn't say nobody talks about it. It's just not the people you watch.
Yeah, what exactly, Sushi? It's good to meet you. I'm Patsy. I haven't met you before. Is your issue that they're doing the advertising, or is your issue that they're?
No, what I'm saying is, people are saying, "Oh, it's so predatory and terrible that the military is advertising and making their jobs look cool." It's like, dude, that just gets people's foot in the door. I have no issue with that. But if you're gonna say that's so horrible, let's also heavily limit fast food advertising, which also causes a detriment to American society because the more overweight people we have. Actually,
but that's already been done.
Of America,
Accidentally left. Yeah, so
it feels like a very pivoty sort of thing. Like, if you don't like this thing, you should also do this thing.
It's a red
Yeah, that's
herring.
what I'm curious about. Like, is your position basically that we shouldn't do anything because there's this one problem, or are you just kind of decrying the hypocrisy, or like I don't really understand the point of bringing that up, right? Because like you could agree, for example, that I think you could agree that they are both predatory in a sense. You might agree that all such advertising is manipulative in a sense by its very nature. I mean, I don't know really. I think it's very hard to draw a clear and consistent line between manipulation and persuasion. I like to think I do persuasion for a living, and I still don't quite know where that line is.
No, advertising is manipulation. That's fine. I'm saying I have zero issue with the military being involved on a platform. I have zero issue.
I think he's bringing it up because there's a proclivity on the left, perhaps, to criticize the recruitment methods of the military, but not at the same time, or not even bring it up whatsoever. Harmful advertisement in the form of things like
hold
that.
on a second. If I'm
No,
can I say something real quick about this? Because this is something that seems to keep coming up, but just so you know, I'm pretty sure it was largely Democrat-backed legislation that pushed large fast food corporations to have to start listing caloric counts on their menus, which is a form of advertisement. That was largely pushed by Democrats. So this
and also offer healthier options.
How about the longest filibuster in history being 52 days against the civil rights movement by all Democrats? There you go. How about we can say bullshit?
Wait, this is a bit suspect.
Oh my God. Wait, suspect. I got suspect. I gotta say, I know you and Endernax care about health a lot, but you better be ready to pay my medical bills because that pivot was so intense you broke both my fucking ankles.
We're talking about people right now.
Are you referencing the civil rights bills of the 60s?
Yeah.
Why? Why?
Listen, it's primary Democrat backed that we put caloric intake on fast food.
Yeah, look, I guess what I'm what's sort of frustrating about this position you've taken is I don't even necessarily disagree, but in the process, all you've done, and what I might imagine your purpose in bringing this up is get away from the original issue of military recruitment. Now we're talking about filibusters, the Civil Rights Act. Can we focus on that particular
Democrats used to be against slavery, before slavery.
One at a time.
You said advertising is manipulation. Advertising the military, where the end result is someone being harmed, is the same thing, in my opinion, as advertising for fast food without showing what heart disease along with it. So
I agree.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
I agree. You're right.
Well, what I was
You're accidentally left wing.
it seems like I think you can draw distinctions between degrees of risk, right? Like, for example, if I should, buy a Happy Meal, for example, on our channel, we are planning something as part of our big comeback program because I've been gone for about a month and a half. We're going to do a chicken nugget challenge with our great admin, Grandad Christmas, where he's going to eat 100 chicken nuggets on stream. Terrible health decision, right? But, it's a much less risky decision than signing up for 4 years of guaranteed service with upon which if you bail you go to jail. So I mean there are definitely degrees of risk. Right? I mean I can't really think of a decision as big in terms of gravity as joining the military, right? I mean unless there's something I'm missing, a decision where so much is at stake, right?
More people die sitting on their ass and eating fast food than on the fucking desert somewhere. So I don't know. There you go.
Less people also join the military.
It's not
This is such a whataboutism. What the hell?
Wait. Can I say? Did you know that more people die from heart disease from 9/11? Why the hell we invade Afghanistan? Makes zero sense. Like,
especially when most of them are from Saudi Arabia, right?
We are
at that point to show
we
how
are
stupid it
lost,
was.
Okay, we are lost. Wow, that's really hard pivoting there. We were straying off all over the place. So I'm gonna let you guys get your final thoughts on this before we move on. So we're just gonna go down the line here. We'll start with you, Signatural. If you have something final to say about this topic, go ahead.
Well, I don't know. Mainly, I think I've said pretty much everything I needed to say. Honestly, if you're the type to believe that if the individual, just accepts, then that's fine. It's whatever. All the hierarchical structures of how the military works, how much money funneled into it, not really that relevant. If the individual is there, just make the individual choice. So I don't know that's what we can necessarily argue with if someone's going to take that stance. Mainly, I think that the hierarchies do matter, and the fact that the military is such a big place, the has all our tax dollars. I feel like we should take a little bit more control over where our tax dollars go, and I think it should be going to less exploitative measures.
Fair enough. Okay, Dylan Burns.
Was this final statements basically?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm not against the idea of the army being on Twitch whatsoever. But this is my standard. Either they correct their recruitment tactics, don't be misrepresentative of what an experience at the military is like, and don't make these kind of giveaway plans, or get off the platform. That would be what I would think would be the best path forward. Because at the end of the day, I think we need to get the people who are best suited to serve in our armed forces. And lying about what a job in the military is like military recruiters have done for decades, is a bad way to get people to serve. And even if it costs more money being pumped into the military advertisement wing, I'd be willing to do that to get the best people suited for the job and to be honest about what an experience of the military is like. And I would hold that same standard to Twitch. But this is not just a Twitch issue. This is a structural issue within the military.
Okay. Suspect Sushi.
It's pretty simple. I'm cool with it, but I will keep referring to the fact that people always think it's just a bunch of ground pounders and that's all they recruit for in the military. You can quite literally be a janitor. It's very annoying that people think that these kids are going to fucking spill their blood on the sand, and I think that's all you think the military is, which is really weird. Sig, props to you for actually being in the military for however long you were in. I don't know if you have vet status. If you don't, that's unfortunate. But I don't know. I think people just need to learn more fundamentally about the inner workings of the military and stop thinking that it's just a bunch of people trying to play Call of Duty.
Just to note, janitors still get deployed. Just saying. That's all.
Yeah, but they're not spilling their blood on the sand, and also that's not they can deploy, but they can go to Japan.
But they still
an American contractor was literally killed 2 months ago in Iraq by Kataib Hezbollah.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Personally, I wasn't deployed, but as a 42 Alpha, which was human resources doing paperwork and shit, a lot of people I knew did deploy and did in fact see combat. You don't deploy to Japan first off. You deploy to places that can be dangerous, right? And you can still see combat in those areas, particularly if you're on the field and maybe you're in your little paperwork area doing your little tent, but they might be able to grab you, say, hey, drive these people here over to this area. That happens.
Not everybody sees combat. For instance, what's really interesting is my mother was in the Air Force as a combat photographer, and she got deployed to Japan of all places. Never saw combat, but she was during the time of Desert Storm, where you would think that she would be there in there. She did high tier photographs. Her shit's in the Smithsonian, all that. But like, how
Her
come she
mother-
didn't see combat?
Okay.
I don't
So
Suspect. Okay, now that was in the 90s.
we're
That was
moving past this.
That was in the 90s, and she was a woman, which mattered. I'm sorry. I continue.
Well, actually, during that time, combat photographers didn't matter if they were men or women. If there was a military action, they would be taking pictures of those things. But she didn't get deployed to it whatsoever. She got deployed to Japan. So like, not everybody sees combat.
Okay, sure. We're moving on. So the next would be Dimi Mama. If you could tell us your final thoughts on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I mean, I think the military's presence on Twitch is kind of like a lasagna of issues. There's just layers upon layers of issues with it. Not only are we talking about someone entering the ecosystem of Twitch that has an absolutely and blatantly obvious undue influence, the ability to just immediately prop up. In addition, clearly being able to call upon some form of favoritism. If you look at their statistics, you can see when they got featured is basically the only time they ever get any meaningful viewers. And getting featured as the military, let's just say you have an undue influence on nearly every single other organization in the world when you're the military of the most powerful country in the world. But also, there's a huge amount of obfuscation of what the military actually does that can happen when you're recruiting via a parasocial platform that I think a lot of the people who are in favor of the military being on Twitch were all too ready to hand wave, despite clearly having issues with advertising being manipulative. It apparently is okay when the military does it because they're the military. And that's about all I have to say to finish off on this issue. There's a ton of issues, and we should take that very seriously and consider whether we want such an enormous and well-funded institution to be able to manipulate things on Twitch so strongly.
Okay. Ender next.
Yeah, I think in recent years there's been a movement kind of on like in generic American life. I'm not accusing one side or the other of being more like anti-intervention, like pulling America back, isolationist movement. And I think this sentiment is actually really dangerous. I think that there's a lot of ramifications for the destruction of the like longest period of peace on this planet. The American hegemon has helped countless nations remain in existence and to benefit from world trade. And I'm very concerned that there seems to be this anti-military movement. We need an active military force in order to maintain this hegemon. If you don't want to maintain it, that's fine. But the ramifications become, the American spheres with 5 other countries while the rest of the world falls apart. And you just get to sit here as a privileged American and watch the world burn. Hey, if that's what you want, that's fine. But I have no problem with the recruitment tactics. I wish our military would actually get more value out of what they're doing right now. It seems like we are the maintainer of global peace in this world, and we don't see much of a return from that. There seems to be a lot of people taking advantage of this era of peace, and America is kind of losing out. So I understand being upset. I understand, but we need to recognize that we cannot pull back, and I think military recruitment methods are important. So I'm not going to complain about the military recruiting on Twitch.
Yeah, Prime, can I ask one question as to get a clarification on what Endermax just said?
Sure, go ahead.
Endermax, who is it, in your opinion, is kind of freeloading benefiting from what you just said?
Well, the number one benefactor of peaceful global trade right now is probably China, as well as other smaller European countries and nations in Southeast Asia.
Can I ask a follow up to that?
Okay, sure.
It'll be my last one on topic. So, is China the one benefiting from our freedom of navigation operations in the South China Sea and our continued guarantee of Taiwanese independence?
They've been benefiting from that for the last 30 years.
What? Is that a joke?
No. We've continually allowed the Chinese government, the CCP, and their economy to grow at a rate.
Wait. So our freedom of navigation operations, which challenges their territorial claims in the South China Sea, which they are intending to annex, and is preventing them from annexing Taiwan, that upholds them, that helps them. How does that help them?
It has helped them in the past.
What if?
That is the exact opposite of their state interest. You have no clue what you're talking about. Okay,
wait a minute, Dill, let me throw something out here. What if it does help their state interests, right? Because the interest of the people who run the state fundamentally is to maintain power, right? And so by virtue of ensuring that they really can't ever, invade Taiwan and therefore eliminate the source of distress that they can rally people up with, isn't kind of this constant low-level conflict a source of of maybe strength of legitimacy for the Chinese government rather than just kind of just brushing it aside. Then what are you going to distract people with? Maybe it is. Maybe Internax is playing some 5D chess here.
Oh, that would be. Oh, it's sneaky.
Well,
moves,
how else? Wait, how else do you unite?
I mean, after all, when the Argentine government invaded the Falkland Islands, sure, it was great distraction from the problems of the junta for a while, but what's next?
The
right?
difference would be that the location of Taiwan in the South China Sea, which we are now basically conducting field navigation operations every month, is actually part of their state interest of trying to guarantee their trade secure in the South China Sea and validate international waters. And their rejection of the 2016. This is way off topic, but all they need to say is Internet has no clue what he's talking about.
We are moving
Actual
on.
clue what he's talking about. That's all.
Thank you. That was very interesting. We want to go to Mark Monkey. I got you Internext, right? Yeah. Mark Monkey.
Okay. So Dylan kind of moved me a little bit on it. I do agree with them that if they're going to be on this platform, they should be showing what they're actually doing. They should be showing, things like boot camp. They should be showing what you're actually more likely to be doing if you do enter military service, rather than pretending like everyone can just join and play video games, which is essentially what they're trying to promote. As hey, this possibility that you could end up just sitting around and playing Overwatch all day instead of, military roles do exist. These things do happen. And I'm pretty sure that if we looked into it, I tried to look into it really quickly, and it seems to be one of those stats that they don't really seem to keep track of. But I'm pretty sure that most of the people who get recruited wind up ending up in infantry of some type. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. If you have the numbers, I'd like to know.
Does anyone have those numbers quickly?
I wasn't able to find them. I tried to search for them.
Okay. If no one has,
it just brought up, a bunch of military recruitment ads when I typed it in, which was interesting, to say the least. But my issue is, if they're going to be on this platform and they're going to be promoting things in the way that they are, then they need to be a lot more transparent about the things that they're not saying. They need to be more open with what it is a possibility. They need to actually be able to be held accountable too, which is incredibly difficult considering they're literally the infantry arm of our government, as opposed to a private company owned by Amazon, for example. I think I have issues with the way they advertise in general, as is that, yes, it is all deceptive. People can be lied to. People can be duped. And a lot of times it's kids. It's people making these decisions at 16, 17 when they have no chance at going to college, when they have no chance of advancement. Say they live in they don't have much available to them as far as opportunities to go. There's no upward mobility in a place like where I live. It's very, very little. So you come to a 16, 17-year-old kid and you offer them the world and say you can get your college paid for. That's a lot more important to them than where they're going to be. But in selling that is a deception.
Sorry, I just want to move it
just
on.
to let you know, just to let everybody know, infantry is like a very small fraction of the U.S. Army. It's like 15%. It's yeah.
So
just letting everybody know.
Wait, which infantry are you talking about?
Oh my God, Mark,
U.S. Army.
Mark,
No. Which infantry? There's a couple MLS. I'm so sorry, Prime. I'm sorry. This is your
15% of how many different available jobs that make up how much percentage of the rest of the military. Because 15% can be a huge amount.
Oh, are you talking about like the actual numbers? I'm talking about like the percentage of jobs. Like 15% of the personnel in the army is infantry.
Okay, and the breakdown of the remainder is what? Because if 15%
does it matter?
is the highest,
Like that wasn't the question, Mark. I'm just letting you know. Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
I'm not trying to hit you here.
Hold up.
Whoa. Okay.
So let's talk about how percentages work. So if 15% is infantry, and
I need Mark to explain to me percentages.
Mark,
yeah, great one,
guys.
dude.
We're moving.
Are you gonna let me actually talk?
I don't know.
This isn't that difficult. If 15% is the highest percentage of the people that make up that percentage, like let's say it's 1% of everything else is that job, and then 15% is the highest percent of the most people in that pie, then guess what? That is most. That's how math works.
Okay.
Christ.
That was fantastic. Thank you for the math lesson. So we're trying to move on. I want to make sure everyone has a chance to say their final point. So thank you, Mark Monkey, for that. Mind waves.
I didn't even get to finish my point, but okay.
Sorry, hold on. Do you want to wrap it up quickly? Mark?
Nah, it's fine.
Are you sure?
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mind waves.
Yeah, no, I don't have any other thoughts on the U.S. Army recruiting on Twitch. I think I pretty much said it. Like, yeah, this is an issue. I think that they should be more honest with their recruiting tactics, or you know, like with their recruiting practices in general. But do I care about Twitch more than any other like sort of outlet that they're recruiting? Not really. No. So
fair enough. Okay. Pixie.
So basically, this is an issue I care about. I think it's extremely unethical for the military to be recruiting specifically minors, right? Like I definitely don't think that's okay. As I stated before, like I know that there are jobs outside the military that are not direct combat, but it doesn't, unless we like create a law, you are still at risk of being a combat role once you sign up. So I, at the very least, think that if you are under 21 years old, you should not be at risk to be in a combat role that can like potentially end your life. And that's basically it.
Fair enough. Bastiat.
Okay. Well, I just dropped a link here because I was under the impression that the military was chiefly overrepresented. People in the military, especially the enlisted recruits, were primarily poor. But according to the Council on Foreign Relations and the Department of Defense, it's actually not too unrepresentative. There's a link there if you want to check it out. They're pretty easy to read graphs, but apparently the middle class is actually overrepresented among military recruits. So that's kind of interesting. I didn't know that.
50,
yeah.
Isn't it like 50% of recruits are middle class or some shit like that?
Yeah, it looked like a little more, but yeah, so some interesting data there. That was the only quick factoid that I thought I saw was relevant. There's also some data on representation by race. Apparently, the biggest overrepresentation in the military is Southerners, which I didn't know.
Yep.
Apparently, Southerners and some Westerners too. But South Carolina, largest representation among the states, which is very kind of them to do that, given that they tried to destroy the Union in 1861. So very kind of them to do that. But all kidding aside, I think that I'm of course I'm a big fan of the military, and I think recruitment is essential to making it work. I don't think that somebody is inherently being exploited by joining the military, but I recognize that there's a serious power imbalance there between the recruit and the recruiter. Especially when you're talking about young people. I don't know that I'd say that people should be 21, like Pixie says. I think I'd sooner, if I was adjusting ages, I'd sooner make it so that 18-year-olds could drink. But I get the logic there. I mean, it doesn't really make much sense to have so many of these arbitrary age distinctions like that. I'd rather have some kind of consistent number too. But yeah, while I think it is an individual decision, it's certainly worth recognizing the environmental factors that go into it. And I think even though I'm not against even necessarily manipulative advertising, it is worth thinking about whether or not the government of the United States ought to be held to a higher standard than, maybe McDonald's or a private corporation when it comes to how it communicates with its citizens and the transparency that it owes its citizens. Beyond that, I don't. As far as the Twitch issue goes, it seems like they were banning people for expressing opinions, and I understand that to have a Twitch channel that works, you've got to moderate chat. But since it's the federal government, and we have the First Amendment, it seems like probably they've got to turn off that chat if they want to moderate at all, because otherwise they're just discriminating against different contents, and so that's no good. But beyond that, I do agree, I guess, broadly with Endernax's position that the role of the United States in the world is important, and that our involvement, guaranteeing global trade and all of that is important too. And that recruitment is important to that. So I certainly wouldn't want to kneecap the military's recruitment program, but at the same time, I think it is worth recognizing that you could still have a robust recruitment program without without sacrificing transparency, openness, and a full and fair accounting of the facts. Because I do think that overwhelmingly, it seems like people in this country are willing to join the military for a lot of reasons. And I think if you give them the full story, I don't think that's going to kneecap. And frankly, if it does, then it sounds like we've got a lot of improvement to do with the condition of our enlisted recruits. So that's the way I feel about that.
Okay.
Thanks for the chance to chip in.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Based.
Okay, so Pixie had put in the a topic into our group DM chat, so I said that topics are welcome, but this is the first time anyone has actually added a topic during the stream, so I'm not sure how to do this, but I figure I could just ask all of you guys, and we'll just do a simple up and down vote. Would you rather would you like to do Pixie's topic? Do you feel you can speak on it? And if not, then it's okay. So
I would love it. Absolutely.
Is the topic obesity?
It's body positivity, and
I would love to talk about it.
Oh, I would love to talk about this so much.
Ooh.
So much.
Okay,
You
so
have no idea.
Absolutely.
Sorry, does anyone not want to talk about it? Let's try that. Mind waves.
Hey, I'm just here for the fucking. I'm for the fuck of it. Let's go.
And can you define? Can we define it for those of us who may not have a full understanding of the topic?
Sure, no problem. So Pixie, I guess since your topic, you let us know, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I just sent the link because earlier they mentioned body positivity. So I was like, oh, this is an interesting article. But now that we're talking about it, I guess body positivity, or the body positivity movement, it has been like an internet movement that's been gaining traction for like a couple years now. It's the idea about like, oh, just like accepting your skin and like just accepting your body for what it is and not being like ashamed of it. Now, some people who argue against the movement claim that it is actually like contributing to obesity and just allowing people to be lazy, while other people like me disagree with that premise. But we can get more into it.
That's interesting. Can you I'm sorry if I missed the article. Can you paste it somewhere so we can check it out?
So the question is the body positivity movement a positive force or a negative force?
Well, I guess. Well, I want to read this article, but from what I know of it, it seems to me, as somebody who has been making some serious weight loss progress here, losing full 10 pounds over the last 2 months. I will say I don't think shame really helps with that. That shame just makes me want to eat Doritos and Diet Coke. But when I feel a little more positive about myself, then I feel open to making meaningful change. So I don't know. At first blush, I want to read this article, but first blush, I don't know that shame really on its own does much for weight loss. But
I agree. The only reason that I said this on there was a different panel that I spoke about this on was to point out how stupid your panel, Dylan, was. The entire reason I brought it up was to point out how stupid it is to go in public and shame people for doing things you don't like, because it doesn't actually do anything except piss them off.
Dylan, no, not Dylan. Ender, no, it's that you got to do this. Remember, you got to point at them and look at them.
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah,
no, I never said that you should shame people. I think the body positivity movement is detrimental to people's health. Like, as someone who's actually started out as like obese, and I lost 30 pounds in 4.5 weeks, fucking killing the game. Like, nice. I'm rapidly trying to lose as much weight as possible so I can get into the armed forces. But the issue is, like, people would say, no, you're great just the way you are. Yeah, if someone says 400 pounds, no, it's fine. Keep doing what you want to do, boo boo. Your excess amount of skin is beautiful. Like, no, we're good. Just being honest.
Okay, so since we're all speaking for positive experience, so I got into boxing and I ended up losing, I think, 60 pounds in 6 months and 80 pounds in 10. I went from 220 to about 154. And and before then, there's been a million people who's like, Dylan, you're a little chubby, maybe you should lose weight. That never encouraged me, right? That never encouraged me to lose weight. Me wanting to get into boxing because I love the sport got me to want to lose weight. And the other thing that got me is when somebody told me, like, Dylan, you might actually be like pre-diabetic now. You need to start looking. And when I heard those alarm bells, that's when I moved away. But the idea that somebody should would have shamed me and called me fatty or anything like that. That would have done nothing in that instance, but piss me off. Right? That would have
Exactly.
done nothing to piss me
Yes,
off. Which
exactly.
is why when it comes to the mask mandate, it should be done by law. Exactly.
Like, I agree. I agree with you.
If you think that, if you think
One
your
at
health,
a time.
somebody-
One at a time.
right? Look, I subscribe to the David Goggins way of thinking about it. You should be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, you're a fat motherfucker and you need to lose weight, right? And do it for yourself. But what I'm saying is if you're going around with the body positivity movement and thinking that you're beautiful, somebody needs to give you a reality check. I'm not saying be shamed, but somebody needs to come to you and be like, yo, if you keep going down this path, you'll get heart disease, get your foot cut off from the beatus, whatever. You know what I mean?
Often the
But that's where a
problem, the
medical
frustration.
professional
Wait,
would
wait,
say,
wait. Before you launch into that argument, let me say one thing and I'll shut the fuck up.
Go
I
ahead.
promise.
Enter
Okay?
next. Go.
So the most common thing that medical professionals say when they talk about this and talking about how American obesity went from 12% in the 90s to 40% of Americans are now obese, and this became a huge public health crisis, they constantly say, like, if they tell people, hey, you know, you need to lose weight, you need to have a better lifestyle, you need a better diet, the people don't listen. So what they end up doing is they end up having to prescribe the medications. These people end up becoming pre-diabetic and eventually diabetic. And this is not a way of fixing the problem. The way you fix the problem is by fixing the behavior of children and making sure that they're involved actively in some type of sport. Dylan, that's an amazing story. You know, I used to weigh 320 pounds myself. A lot of what got me out of it was football and personal responsibility. It was me saying, I need to make a better decision for my life. And my life circumstances improved tenfold when I lost my weight. I didn't feel tired all the time. I didn't feel foggy headed. I felt like I could interact with people more often without getting exhausted. But it was never a doctor telling me like, hey, you're going to be diabetic and have a miserable life. And it certainly wasn't my parents who literally said things like, oh, you're not big, honey. You know, you're handsome just the way you are. But like, this doesn't help. It would be more honest of them to say, hey, you're going to have all these problems if you continue down this pathway. It doesn't have to be shaming. It can be educational, but you need people in your life to not accept you for who you are. I'm not advocating for shame. I'm advocating for people being honest about what this means for people.
Yeah, you don't need a doctor to tell you whether you're healthy or not if you can't go up a flight of stairs.
Wait,
without
okay,
going
just
down.
real quick. This is getting a little out of control.
Yeah,
Did we
yeah.
ever even do a vote on this topic? Because like I wasn't prepared for this topic.
Prime put it out there. He
I mean,
asked and no one said anything for about a minute and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
We just.
There was no. I didn't hear any actual opportunity to reply. I mean, I'm okay if we want to go forward with this topic. It's just I didn't prepare for it because I didn't know it was gonna be a
preparing
topic.
for
And
topics is lame.
the other thing too is it seems like this is the well has been kind of poisoned from the get-go with some of the statements that were made right out the gate with stuff like you fat motherfucker and stuff. I feel like that's kind of poisoning the well to begin with, right?
I said David Goggins, a quote. David Goggins said he looked himself in the mirror and said, David, you're a fat motherfucker. That's a direct quote. And I also believe that. If you can't fucking look yourself in the mirror and say you have a health issue, nothing's going to change.
Okay, so here's just something that I want to like put in my 2 cents. I think that this is like a very individual thing, right? Like what was stated before. I think like if you're just a random individual and you're like, oh yeah, like you're fat or whatever, like that, why would that make the person like want to change at all? Or what are you really accomplishing by doing that? Do you really think that you're going to motivate that person to like change or be different? When you're putting them down like that, but that's what I'm
Wait. Let's try it this way. Let's try Suspect Sushi. You're voting for Trump. Trump's racist. Trump's bad. Now you're voting for Joe Biden, right? That didn't work, did it?
No. Once again, you're completely going around what I said. I said if the body positivity movement convinces people that they're healthy at every possible size, no matter how big they are, right? Somebody needs to reality check you. I'm not saying someone needs to shame you, but somebody needs to tell you, I'm concerned for your health because you are obese.
I mean, that kind of sounds like that's what you think the body positivity movement is, not what it actually is.
No, it indulges people. You do
like body. Hold on. Suspect Sushi. It's not body indulgence, right? It's not body encouragement. It's body positivity.
Being
it's just
positivity. About a healthy lifestyle is a to their health.
There. Except health, like
body positive. It's not health positivity. Body positivity.
So you're being positive about something.
My understanding now, since we've really had like no opportunity amidst the really interesting slant that's been going on here, we've had really no opportunity to actually establish, our understandings of the body positivity movement. But my understanding was the body positivity movement is to fight the exact type of shaming that's already incredibly prevalent in our society. So I would think that if you are both as against, shaming and whatnot, as you seem to claim you are today, mind you, that you would be more interested in supporting the body positivity movement, because the body positivity movement was at least as far as I understand it, specifically designed to help children who were being like largely bullied by both their parents and their peers, something which I experienced when I was much younger, like to an incredible degree, and that never helped me adopt a healthy approach to food or anything like that. And in fact, it encouraged me into yo-yo dieting when I was older, which is another part of something that's addressed in the body positivity movement, which is addressing the misconceptions and misinformation around certain types of dieting. So I find it funny that this entire conversation, which was about whether the body positivity is good or bad, just ended up going up into your own personal tirades about how you feel you should be able to talk to yourself about and talk to other people about their bodies.
So I want to hear from Mark Monkey.
Not even just that, Demon Mama. Like it was also intended to decrease the rate of God, I'm forgetting, like things like anorexia and bulimia and things like that. Eating disorders. That's the word I'm thinking of. Like it was meant to do that, because this focus on shaming and everything and showing these images of like sexy airbrushed photos that you don't know are airbrushed unless you actually already know what to look for, led to people seeing that as the ideal. And some people just have a body shape that they're never going to reach that. That is a reality. Then fat can be subjective to a lot of people. I knew somebody who would call somebody rail thin fat, and he was a huge prick, but he would do it because that was a subjective feeling he had.
Do you honestly believe that if everyone just all of a sudden tomorrow adopted this like ideology of like complete compassion and love for all of these people, that the obesity rate would drop dramatically? I mean, there's other problems, and the body positivity movement. I just think that the body positivity movement is a social band-aid to try and enable some of these people's unhealthy lifestyle. Wait, really quickly, less than 10% of people who are obese will ever be at a healthy weight again. That is 40%. That means
but don't you hold on?
36% of the American population is going to be obese until they die.
Yeah, that sounds like another reason to do body positivity. Then I mean, basically, what you're saying is 9 out of 10 people are screwed either way. So why should they just be miserable on top of that?
Yeah.
Also,
which is
what you're saying is true. What you're saying is true.
I'm not saying that we should shame them. I think that's just silly. But I don't think it's also acceptable to be like, wow, this 300-pound person is beautiful in their own way, and like we need to idolize that, and that needs to be modeled.
Yeah.
So
but science disagrees with you.
One time. So I want to hear from Mark Monkey, and then to finish his point, and then I want to let Mindwaves in if he has something he wants to add, and then we'll go on from there. So Mark Monkey.
Yes, I brought up things like eating disorders for a reason. For one thing, I was able to post an actual scientific study that talks about how body shaming does not actually work, and that there's a number of factors such as hold on. I'm talking here. Can I finish my point at least once?
Please.
Thank you. Okay. So, when you actually look into the reasons why people are obese, there's a number of factors, including poverty, the access to cheaper food that is packed full of corn that has been subsidized heavily for decades by the United States of America. We are drowning in corn. We're drowning in corn syrup. It's incredibly unhealthy for us.
Corn.
There's also a problem with getting regular sleep. So regular sleep is a problem for teenagers, because we overwork them, and also young adults because we overwork them. All of this is based on science, internets. I see you getting all uppity about it, but I posted the damn study in the chat.
Wait, but you're not going to. You're fighting a straw
called
man.
Science.
You're fighting a straw man, Mark.
It's literally not a straw man. I posted the science. What the fuck are you talking about?
It's a straw man because nobody here is advocating.
It's a straw man because you don't like it.
Are
It's
you
just
high?
straw
I'm
man because
literally
you don't
arguing
like
with you.
it. That's all it is.
Boom.
You
That's
just don't
the
like it.
thing.
So you're
Can't
upset.
argue with science,
Keep
bro.
yelling over me.
One at a time. One at a time. One at a time.
I'm
Okay.
quoting a
So-
study here.
Yes,
You're
and
You're
I
quoting
agree
your
with you.
feelings.
What do you mean? I literally said I agree with all of those things. All of them, Mark. You're not listening. I don't agree with fat shaming. I think it's stupid. I have said multiple times on this specific panel and panels in the past that fat shaming is the stupidest thing you could do.
We
You're
didn't.
just gonna
Neither of
cement
us
people in their
advocated
way.
for it.
Literally, neither of us. He said that people should take personal responsibility and look themselves in the mirror and shame themselves, which is not the same thing as fat shaming other people. Now, if you want to say that
And that's
accepting
how you get
body type,
an eating disorder.
No.
buddy,
I didn't even say shame yourself. I
Yes.
said
Wait.
That is
before-
literally
Sushi,
how you get an
Sushi,
eating disorder.
Before you say anything, okay, really quickly. Let's say hypothetically, there was no fat shaming anymore, okay, and now you've accepted your body type, okay, and because there's no shame, you've never heard a message of like what. Okay, I guess my question to you would be, what would be considered shame? Like if this person understood that they were living an unhealthy lifestyle and doing things that were directly harmful to not only them but other members of the society in terms of the rising cost of healthcare, in terms of other disparate health factors in society. Like what constitutes shame? That's my question.
Okay, so
Well, there has been scientific studies on that. If you read what I posted
shame?
in the chat, yes, on shaming, about this idea that we can have a
On
one
what is
size
shame?
fits all approach to getting people to lose weight. And shaming, personal shaming, also does not work. Self-hate actually makes things
I
worse.
think you're
It
missing
leads
the
to
not
point.
an
losing
eating
weight,
Mark,
disorder.
you're
Okay,
missing
so
the point. He's asking you
I'm not
what is
going
shaming,
to
like
okay.
what qualifies shaming. Like that is the question.
If a family member goes up to another family member and says, hey, you being overweight, that's really bad for you. There's going to be all these different outcomes later in life that are really going to affect you, and they're going to be bad for you and your family or whatever life decisions you make. Is that shame? Like, would you not feel
Yes.
shame for knowing that? That's shame.
Being
Yes.
So then telling
With
people that
reality
they
is
are being
shame?
unhealthy is shame.
wow.
Like
Well,
if a
there's a lot
doctor
of
did it, would it be
systemic
shame?
changes that need to happen in this country in order for
Honestly,
people to not be overweight.
So wait, if a doctor tells you
Why-
if a doctor tells you you're more
No, hey,
Listen.
hey. Okay, so Pixie, I'll get to you, but I want to hear from Mindwaves if he has anything to add, and then we'll after
No,
Pixie.
let Pixie go. She wants to respond. Go
Okay,
for
all
it.
right, Pixie, go ahead.
So basically, you can say things like, oh, you know what, like these are the options if you want to live the healthiest lifestyle, or like this is a trajectory so long with like your diet. There's ways to phrase these things that don't like inherently have like a shaming connotation. Like you can deliver bad news to someone in a compassionate manner that doesn't like hurt them. Like it's not like one or the other.
Yeah, the only part of all this that seems like it can sometimes be problematic is I know that article mentioned the health at every size movement, and I know sometimes there seems to be a little pseudoscience on the other side where some people will say, no, weight has no health impact whatsoever, or it's very minimal. That seems like it can be kind of concerning, but it also seems like a pretty niche issue. I think most people understand that, that there are health issues. And so I think that the negative side of the body positivity movement seems pretty trivial compared to the positive side of improving people's mental health and well-being, and therefore giving them the rock upon which then they can choose if they want to,
and also
lose weight,
doing
exercise,
systemic
whatever.
changes to our food and what's
I mean,
available to poor people.
Sure,
And
but
there's
that's
another side of it, too.
that's kind of a tough bar to say that look, we can't. If you're saying that, if your point is that we shouldn't imagine that people can lose weight until systemic things are changed, I guess we're giving up the goat for quite a long time, because everything you mentioned, I don't disagree with any of it, but corn subsidies are as terrible as they are, corn subsidies aren't going anywhere in our lifetime.
Okay, well, Endernax put it perfectly. Hey, if I come to you from a place of compassion and says, hey, this is bad for you, this is what's going to happen throughout your lifetime if you continue on this route. I'm coming from you from a place of love. Is that still shame? Mark literally said yes. And then he said something about systemic shame. That's fucking.
You want to know why?
No, I'm still talking. Remember, I'm still talking.
Okay, go ahead.
If a doctor tells you you're morbidly obese, is that shame? No, that's someone telling you the medical reality of your situation. A family member can do the same exact thing. How is that shame?
No.
It's just telling you what reality is.
Because it's none of their fucking business.
It's none of their fucking business.
What?
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I don't really get that point. Like, are you saying then that people shouldn't offer? You're
A
saying
doctor
people
tells
don't
it
offer
to you, then
advice
yes,
because it's
that's
not their
their job
business.
to
One
deliver
at a
medical
time.
information. If a family member does it, unless they're a doctor, unless they're a nurse, they're not delivering medical information. They're just delivering their feeling.
True, and if your family if your dad isn't an economist, he really can't tell you anything about what how the economy is in the United States, given that he's not an expert.
Yeah, I mean, by that
Hey,
standard,
can I
Mark.
say
By that
something? Can I
standard,
say something
Mark, we
here?
mostly all gotta drop off. I mean,
Everyone just has to
qualified to
I mean,
talk about any of this stuff. we
Is
already
this
talked
just
about
going to
tonight.
be
Okay,
like,
okay.
I don't know. I feel
Okay.
like this is just a lot of like a fuck ton of posturing about personal experiences, and that's all right.
Yeah.
But I wanted to mention a couple of things. One of which is that it's well known that that first of all, we have a privatized healthcare system. People avoid going to the doctor when they can, and that means when they feel ashamed about something, they often will push it off. This is a well-known fact about our health system. Shaming people, we've all established apparently, I mean, I feel like we've kind of talked around the issue a bit. But the body positivity movement is more about saying, hey, we can accept people for who they are and not try and take it upon ourselves to try and assume things about their life. Because there's a whole lot of things, as it turns out, as Endernax himself said in the very beginning of this, there are a whole lot of factors that can contribute to someone's weight. Everything from diet to exercise to genetic factors, an incredible amount of stuff. No person, besides perhaps the most, intimate people in your life, actually have much of a position to make those claims about you. It should be left to your doctor. A body positivity movement encourages allowing your friends to live peacefully as the way they are and seek help from their doctors, and makes that a private decision to take care of yourself based on your health. Secondly, I've also thanked the wonderful Lucid Fox provided me with a really interesting study, which was done in Fiji. I've linked it in our group chat, and it talks about how the introduction of Western media into Fiji led to I believe it was a 97% increase in, let me just double check that number, make sure I'm getting it right. 1 second here.
Yeah, it was a mess. I know what you're talking about.
Sorry, 74% increase in Fijian girls reported having eating disorder or feeling pressured towards disordered eating. So I think that we can admit that there are many ways that shame can take form, and that these things can be incredibly damaging. And it's not just as simple as hand waving any possible experiences someone may have had with shame.
So I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to speak on this. I want to ask Mindwaves if he has anything to say on this, and also Sig Natural. Mindwaves.
This is a Crowder move, by the way.
I did just want to ask Mark, what exactly, Mark?
Hey, one at a time. Mindwaves, go ahead.
I did just want to ask Mark what exactly you meant, or what was your implication earlier when you said that like family members shouldn't encourage or get involved in like somebody's weight loss? That seemed weird.
That's wild.
I'm just saying a lot of times the way it goes with family members is usually not the most positive.
You're making
well, yeah, but the idea would be to change that, right? To like change the way that families interact with each other and encourage each other to like accept their body, and like also like work towards like more healthy living, whether that be exercise or diet or whatever is necessary, right? Like, yeah, I don't think that you should like absolutely hand wave.
That's part of the.
Because having a support structure, is very vital in being able to successfully lose weight, especially in the long term. So. Yeah.
My point is that if a family member goes up to you, and I've witnessed this, not myself because I've never been really that big, but I've witnessed it where a family member goes up to somebody and says, hey, you're getting really big. Have you ever considered, like, you haven't seen this person in months, and then all of a sudden they say this, like, are you going to have a positive view, or are you going to be like, mind your own fucking business? I barely know you. Like, you're going to have the latter, and it's going to make you feel bad, and it's not going to help you do anything.
Well, let me throw something out here. I think there was at least one person here, Sushi, who said that would actually help him. I mean, was that your point, Suspect Sushi?
Yeah, it's not one size fits all, though.
So, I mean, maybe for some people. Now, I said starting off, this wouldn't help me, right? I wouldn't respond really well to that. But I mean, maybe there are folks out there like Suspect Sushi. And again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. It's just sounded like what you were saying. Who really do, maybe they have a different, a different outlook on life. And when somebody confronts them with what they perceive to be the cold, uncut, hard truth, they respond well to that. They feel like, that to them is positive, cutting through what they perceive to be, a lot of nonsense and fluff, getting to, maybe that helps them. I mean, it just sounds like, Mark, what you're saying is that fundamentally families shouldn't try.
No,
I
I'm not
think that's a
saying
really
that at
bad
all.
faith interpretation
It's a
of
very
Mark's
reductive-
argument.
It sounded
Yeah,
like, I mean,
very
mind your damn
reductive.
business. Mind your own business.
Yeah.
No, I think
don't
it's
talk
more
about it.
that
You're not an expert. You're not a doctor. Don't have any opinion. I mean, that sounded
I'm
to me
saying, like,
I
they've
think
done
it's
studies
more
on this,
like-
and most people have that response. Yes. So, but
Yeah, I think
it's individual. Yes. There are,
But like, you understand what the body positivity?
most people aren't going to
What?
react positively to that.
Okay.
they're
Okay.
not going to react.
The body
positively.
positive, dude. Doctors who are caught up in the body positivity movement actually allow people to think that they're healthy when they're absolutely not.
Okay, this is just like, do you have anything to back that up?
Yeah,
or is
yeah.
that
Do you
just
have
the
any
weird
data on
theory?
that?
Was
Any
I
data?
next, or was I before he made the claim?
Go for it.
If you don't, Hunt, I want to hear from Signatural. Go ahead.
I was under the impression that the body positivity movement, its number one goal was to help with people's self-esteem, mainly, right? It was to fight against certain like media portrayals of different of like many of the similar body types that we see in the media and everything, which can greatly affect one's self-esteem and the people, and particularly the self-esteem of like young children, adolescents, and all that. As far as moving up. And I think as far as that goes, I think that's one of the most important things we need in this country, particularly with the issues with depression and suicide that we've got going on. Often when you see people that are very overweight, very obese, often they've got a lot of negative thoughts surrounding it, and some of that can feed into their eating, which feeds into their weight gain, which feeds into more eating, which feeds into like certain feelings of shame and a lot of sorts of things. If anybody that's very obese, that's typically a thing, and the body positivity movement was there to fight specifically those things. I don't believe it ever like put itself as a health movement. I don't remember body positivity ever being this thing that's about health in general.
Well,
Well,
I'm
health in the
referencing
sense that it's
the-
about preventing eating disorders.
Well,
and
I'm sorry, mental. I'm
suicide
sorry.
and, like,
I'm sorry.
But,
Physical
but
health.
like,
It's
like
about
not
mental health,
not
physical
not
health,
when it
but-
comes to like whether or not you're gonna develop a heart condition or fucking diabetes or something
Yeah.
like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's more
Yeah.
about mental health rather than physical health. My mistake.
For sure.
Well, I was referencing the health at every size movement in the article that Pixie sent, and it seemed like it seemed like they were saying that there's actually, it sounded like they were questioning the established wisdom that weight has some negative correlations with things like blood pressure. I can understand saying, look, it's better for you overall to be happier with yourself. That's better from a health perspective. But I guess what I was saying is, to the extent people are trying to brush aside the health problems that come with obesity, that would seem negative. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you need to hammer people with them.
Yeah, but there's a problem with that, which is that, and this is something that I happen to know about the health at every size movement, which is that it's actually more about challenging assumptions that are made about people who have different body shapes and body types. Because something that happens a lot is that a lot of people, both in media and in general behavior, just make a whole lot of assumptions about your health that actually no one but really your doctor is able to do. And in fact, the science of nutrition has evolved pretty significantly, and it is possible for people to have bad health when they don't weigh much, and for people who weigh quite a bit to have pretty good health. And part of challenging that is saying, hey, like, weight isn't just a magical indicator of whether you're a healthy or person. I don't know if I think no one on here would argue that like people pretty directly in sort of common parlance associate weight with health, even though that's not actually the case. Like, being fat doesn't guarantee that you're in bad health. It might be one thing that isn't necessarily healthy about you.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
But I've noticed. Hold on, though. But I've noticed literally every single person who's been pushing back on this has been making that same assumption, which is just the flat assumption that weight is automatically always bad. But do you actually have, like, as it turns out, nutritionists don't actually believe that to be particularly useful.
Yeah.
So isn't your position then that, I'm not saying that weight is always an indicator of bad health, but are you saying that basically it is possible to conclude that more weight comes with no health consequences?
No, absolutely not. I'm just saying that whether it does is really is not so easy to determine, and it should be left to people who are actually hooked into people, not just society at large. And that as a society at large, we should push for accepting people at all types, because keep in mind that you can't just magically switch off.
Should we
weight.
pay for everybody's health at all sizes?
Yes.
No.
Absolutely.
I mean, because what you're saying is fine to the extent I don't have to pay for it. I don't particularly care. But I mean, once we finally get universal healthcare in this country, then suddenly it becomes a question of who pays for what.
This is the huge issue, and this was something that came up on
Wait.
the other panel, was that a large population of morbidly obese people literally raises healthcare costs astronomically high. Sorry.
Yeah, so do many
and this
things.
is
There
a
are
huge
tons
problem.
of factors.
Wait, it's so much cheaper.
Pollution,
to just go back and
same
prevent
thing.
it beforehand, and you don't do that.
Smoking, same
We're
thing.
gonna pay for your
Poverty, same
healthcare,
thing.
and you're bad.
This
We're
is
gonna
a cost pivot. You are pivoting to something that has
I'm
nothing
not-
to do with
Yeah,
what we were
this
just
is
talking
ridiculous.
about. This was a pivot on both Bastiat's and Enternax's part.
There's no pivot here. The
That was
reason
a
I'm
literal
saying
pivot.
the reason I'm saying that these issues matter is that they
No,
do
no, no,
come
no,
with
hold on,
more
hold
than
on.
just
Everyone-
the
everyone-
issue
everyone-
of the empirical reality of health
shut up.
health
Everyone,
consequences do
everybody,
matter because
everybody.
eventually you're
Hey,
called upon to
everybody,
pay for those
shut
consequences.
up. Everybody.
Everyone's
Okay, shut up, please. Thank you. We gotta do this one at a time. The audience cannot hear you if you're all talking at once. I'm thankful that you're passionate, but guys, when I tell you to shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna do it one at a time, right? We're gonna hit Ender next, then we're gonna hit Bastiat, and then we're gonna let them talk. Ender next. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that what she was talking about insofar as like, oh, well, not all the people who are overweight are unhealthy. Yeah, I get that. There is a very rare exception to the rule. But generally speaking, when you're speaking in generalities, when you're talking about data, when you're talking about the law of averages, guess what? People who are obese die 8 years sooner than their counterparts who aren't obese. People who are overweight.
On average, not
Yes,
every
on
single one of
average,
them.
yes,
That is the
yes,
point of like what Demon Mama said, is that we
I get
shouldn't make
it,
these
I
broad
get it.
assumptions about every single individual fat person.
If you make poor life decisions and you have poor health because of it, and then you have these adverse health problems later in life, and we're guaranteeing you universal health care, this becomes an issue because now everyone's footing the bill for your shitty life decisions, and because we didn't nip the problem in the bud earlier. That's, I don't know. To me, it just seems like it's, if we just give everybody health care, the problems will magically fix themselves when there are obviously deeper
Nobody
problems.
said that. I mean, but
You did, actually. You have literally said that.
Wait, no, I literally have never said that.
Yes, you did. You said if people had universal health care.
Cool. Can you give me the clip for
it would
that?
make
Because I
better
would
health.
love to see that. If you can
I'll go
give me
grab the clip as long as Dylan didn't delete the.
Wait. Did you just change what you? Did you just change? Did you just change what you said? Because you just changed your wording in the middle of that sentence. You dishonest fool.
Shout out to Charmander, aka Check the VOD.
Yeah, check the VOD.
Check the VOD.
Okay.
I challenge
The
you.
more
to check
meta the
VOD and
conversation,
find
the more
find
enjoyable
part-
it is. Just letting you know.
Demon Mama, you might want to back off of your mic a little bit. That game thing is happening again.
Oh, I turned my gain down. I don't know. Maybe it's on your guys'
Yeah.
side. My stream seems to think it's fine.
I think it was
Alright.
just a matter of proximity to Mike.
You
Yeah.
sound okay, mommy.
Just so you know. Okay, so I want to hear from Bastiat, but then after that, Pixie. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, it sounded like, and Demon Mom, feel free to correct me on this. It sounded like what you were saying is that basically we can't make any kind of predetermination on health except to the extent that we drill down to each individual person. Otherwise, we have no way of knowing the effects of obesity on a population. We can only know after extensive study of an individual what the effect of obesity is
That's
on that
literally
individual.
not what I said at all.
Okay, so
Not even
what were you saying then? Because I'm trying to get this right.
as individuals, encouraging accepting people for their weights actually is as far as we can tell seems to have better outcomes than promoting a non-positive outcome. Because the thing is that as individuals, we can't just look at somebody who happens to be overweight or who we determine or who we think is overweight and just make determinations about their health. We can't actually do that. In fact, doctors even sometimes struggle to do that, as it turns out, and so do nutritionists. It's a very complicated thing. Now, you can certainly find information on a scientific level about obesity, but I highly doubt that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the body positivity movement, which is largely about accepting people and saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't bully and pressure people constantly, especially on something that takes time, like weight loss.
So then, I wanted to get this point right, because I don't know that we had a disagreement then, because I accept your point that, broadly speaking, it's better to feel better about yourself. I agree with that. I think I opened with that. What it sounded like to me you were saying is that we can't make society-wide scientific conclusions about obesity, which seems to me like it would make it very difficult to have any kind of public health programs of any kind. So, but it doesn't sound like you're saying that actually. It sounds like you're just saying more about the random people like us, for example, should not necessarily conclude what your health is like. purely because
Well,
not you,
yeah, but also
specifically,
like
users and-
advertisers, television shows, societal norms. That's what body positivity was about addressing, is the fact that we have a societal norm. I mean, this is old. This is like, I mean, this feels like a dated talking point, because it's like magazines have even changed since. They haven't changed that much, but they've changed. I mean, we're talking about impossibly skinny models being constantly the main input from all over the place. Like, these are things that are unrealistic standards. The body positivity movement isn't just about weight either. It's also about scars. It's about people who might be missing limbs, stuff like any type of considered like non-normal body type. Like, it's way more than that. It's saying, hey, don't just make assumptions on somebody because of how they look. You might be totally wrong. In fact, you probably are totally wrong, because chances are, unless you're like their partner, you probably don't know anything about their health or lifestyle.
All right, so how about this? If there's a 400-pound man and I challenge him to a foot race, who's going to win?
Okay.
Oh my
Is
god!
that a serious argument?
Wow.
Look, I
think you've gotten.
No, who's more healthy? Me,
like
who's
a-
actively
that's like a-
working out,
Has
or the
anybody
over
else
100-pound
been able to
man?
figure out whether it's 400 pounds of all character or whether like he's genuine?
Everybody, shut the fuck
You'd
up.
probably okay. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I was gonna go to you next, Pixie, actually, but Pixie, you go ahead.
Okay, so there's a couple of things here. I think Demon Mama basically nailed what I was going to say about, like, hey, you know what, like, a lot of these things are in ranges that, as an individual, you might make assumptions that you're not necessarily like qualified to make. Like, yes, we could say there are obese people out there, but fat and obese aren't the exact same thing, and acting like they are is like very strange. And anyways, like, you could be like, fat and still be healthy, still have like a good heart rate, have low cholesterol, and you could have a skinny person who's really like fucked up internally. And you might not necessarily know it just looking at them, because you don't have that medical knowledge. Now, when it comes to like, oh, should you like talk to somebody and concerned with their weight, like, ever, I think, like what I said before, I think there are very like compassionate ways to do that. Whether I think like most people have, that, I guess, like suaveness, I don't know what the right word is, to do so is a different question, but I do think that there's proper ways to handle that. And finally, the last thing I was going to say, if we're going to make a question about like a 400-pound man, like versus you or whatever, like if you did like a wrestling competition, they'd probably like blow you the fuck out. So like that, it's like, what the fuck are you saying?
I don't necessarily
That's not
think
true at all.
falling on someone.
Okay,
Not 400-pound people are not sumo wrestlers.
Yeah, I've seen a sumo wrestler get their ass beat by a 90-pound Asian. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, but okay, if we're gonna talk about generalities, like, yeah, usually the more weight somebody has, like, the more like strength. No, I don't want to say like physical strength, but the more
maybe if they could support their weight.
You're like morbidly obese. This is not the argument.
I am healthier than a 3-year-old because I can beat them in a foot race.
I gotta say, I'm impressed by the Hulk's training regimen of just eating the Whopper like 1,000 times a day. It's impressive.
Okay, so
Dude, I'm impressed by Dylan's filters. Holy macaroni! Look at this guy.
I'm just sitting here looking pretty.
Mind ways. Did you have anything else to add to that? What Pixie just said?
No, I think just most of this is like most of this is just a misconception of what body positivity is. I think a lot of people have outlined what that is. I mean, like it's accepting of like what your own body is, right? The sort of rejection of beauty standards, especially unhealthy ones, and your like your own relationship with those beauty standards, acceptance of changes in your bodies, whether it be due to like aging or surgery or accidents or pregnancy or anything like that, and promoting like inclusivity, right? Basically, the only sort of like real contention that seems to be kept bringing up or people keep bringing up is this idea that it like encourages people to like gain weight in ways that are unhealthy, which just doesn't seem to be true. I mean, I've seen no data that like this movement has led to people thinking that like, being overweight is acceptable. I mean, like, I don't know. So
yeah, I'd be curious whose like obesity is thanks to the body positivity movement as opposed to all the delicious food of our modern world.
The
Right,
best
like,
one is,
not to mention
a
that's-
literal list of body positive doctors.
Not to mention, this is completely like this doesn't even take into account all the good that it promotes, right? All the people that are sort of are able to not catch an eating disorder or commit suicide or all those good things that all those good consequences. So yeah, I don't know.
This is all fun and dandy by me. You're not going to hear me complaining about improving mental health. You're never going to hear me complaining about that. My issue is that I want to be able to implement public health policy and understand that obesity overall is really bad for everyone in America for a bunch of
Wait,
different.
do you not think that's already the case? Like,
I think
having-
we do have an understanding of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, I think I misunderstood earlier because I thought that was a conclusion, but I don't think anybody's actually saying that.
I mean, also, like, I should just say that that something that was that came across. I don't remember who exactly dropped it, but like, it from a societal level, it is acceptable to be overweight. Like, that's terrible to say that it's not. Like, if it's not healthy for you, okay, that's like that's fine. But on a societal level, if somebody who's overweight, even if they later go on to make a correct decision and lose weight that's good for their health, they should still be able to be accepted and treated normally and correctly as a person just because they're overweight. Like
Okay,
what the
but we
fuck?
should have public policy
Well,
that makes sure those
yeah,
cases.
I mean,
Yeah, but the body positivity movement isn't
I don't
making
know that's
prescriptive claims
acceptable.
about how we deal with this more systemically. This is more about interpersonal and sort of societal like expectations of body standards, etc. Right? Nobody in this movement is saying that like we shouldn't do policy or like any sort of like efforts by the government to reduce obesity or anything like that. I don't think that that's at all part of the movement. So this seems like a complete like red herring. I don't know.
So just to be clear,
another
then, the
thing that-
government has an anti-obesity program. That isn't a form of, that isn't necessarily, at least, like that isn't inherently a form of stigma.
No, I mean, not
Okay.
necessarily.
All right, well then, yeah, I don't know that there's a disagreement.
Okay.
That was what was being inferred.
In fact, as far as I
Because
know,
in order
there's
to have
already
that-
tons of them.
wait,
I have a
It was
legitimate
never
question for
inferred.
you.
You read that into yourself.
Okay, I have a question for you.
They're
This is from the
What?
CDC. I have a question. All right, so if about 47,173 people die per year due to suicide, but 647,457 die due to heart disease, are you really telling me that mental health and suicide is a bigger issue than obesity? That is like one of the leading causes of heart disease?
I don't think
you-
anybody
Nobody's
said, hold on,
making,
hold on.
nobody,
Hold
wait,
on.
nobody's
No one made that
making that
claim.
argument.
So what I'm saying is, if we don't let people face the reality of their obesity, we're actually advocating for their eventual slow death of heart disease, right?
We're not
What?
advocating
Not
that, no.
necessarily.
That
I
is
don't know
literally
because you
not
say
true.
if you tell them that they're
Everything we've
unhealthy,
been stating
you
right
say
now.
it's shame.
Okay.
I love the pro heart disease platform.
Every-
I've been advocating for it for years.
So
Yeah,
I-
no
Everything we've been stating so far, or at least
Couldn't
like what
do
we've
this
been
things
referring back to, is like, okay, like how can we actually get people to be healthier? And like, is shame a way to like actually do this? Does this actually affect it? And like, nobody here is like advocating for people to get more obese or for people to have like higher rates of heart disease. So I don't understand where this argument's coming from at all.
It's
No,
a straw
you
man
just-
that comes
you
out of
just-
their
you-
conspiratorial, highly emotional
You just
mind.
equivocate fucking telling people what reality is with harming them for some reason. I'll never understand
Dude,
it.
you were
No,
advocating
I
for
said
a
it.
quote
Whoa.
that advised people to look in the mirror and call themselves
Whoa.
a fat motherfucker. I'm sorry, your argument is not really strong.
So I want to hear from Pixie, and then we're gonna move on to Mark Monkey. Pixie, go ahead.
Okay, so basically, what I said before is that there are ways that you can plate reality, or there's ways that, or reality, or whatever it is, right? There's ways that you can say things, without making a person feel like a total piece of shit. Like it's still reality, right? If I say, hey, you know what, your mom died, go deal with it. And if I say something like, hey, you know what, sorry, your mom passed away, like, that's awful. Like, these two statements are still, like, truth, but there's one that's much more, like, cruel and unnecessary than the other.
Both
so that's
you
what I'm
and
saying.
Endermax have disavowed shaming. And then we said, if we approach you as a family member or a friend and say, hey, I'm worried about your health. Hey, this is bad for you. Hey, do this, this, and this. Like,
No,
you can
actually, what you
turn
did
your
was
health
you
around.
said
No.
you disavowed
And then
shaming,
say,
and then you
as soon as that
advocated for
happened,
it.
not Mark. No one else said. Mark said, that's still shaming. It's systemic shaming. Because it's supposed to be only between you and a doctor.
No, what I said is that I think that there is probably a way that a family member can like reasonably like like talk about their worries with you. That's what I said. I said, and now if most people are like, qualified to like actually be that suave, I literally said those words. It's a different story than not, but I do think that there's a reasonable way that somebody can convey their worries to you. Without shaming you.
Okay. So we're gonna hear from we're gonna hear from Mark Monkey. And then after that, we're gonna wrap up this topic, and we're gonna move on to our final topic. Maybe okay. So Mark Monkey, make your point, and then we're gonna do the same thing. We'll have people have an ending statement. Mark Monkey.
All right. First of all, no, that isn't what I said. I actually said something with a lot more nuance. I kind of pointed out that yes, there's a way that you could say something like that to somebody, but you chances are won't be able to. Most people aren't able to have that conversation with people. And, if some random family member that you haven't seen in months comes up to you and says something like that to you, you're probably going to be like, mind your fucking business, which was my point. See, it's called nuance. You were doing a reductive argument. You were doing a reductive interpretation of what I said. And that's why I keep saying that's so reductive, because it is. But my main point that I wanted to bring up is I hear a lot of concern trolling about heart disease, and nobody's talking about the fact that you can have heart disease and not be overweight. You can get heart disease from hereditary functions. For example, I am at risk for heart disease. And hold on. Try and tell me I'm wrong. So I have to make sure that I'm watching my heart at all times. My mom is not overweight, and she has a stent put in. She's constantly at risk for heart disease. Yes, it puts you at higher risk for heart disease if you're overweight, but it's not the only factor. So if we're going to go ahead and address heart disease, we need to acknowledge that not all those people who died from heart disease were overweight.
What's the largest contributing factor to heart disease? Sedentary lifestyle.
Obesity. But yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
On average, yes.
Wait a second. Hold on a second. You just argued against yourself, Suspect Sushi. Sedentary lifestyle is its own thing. Like that's a separate thing. There are excuse me. Hold on. I'm not done. I know you really can't contain yourself. But sedentary lifestyle. I know tons of skinny people who live sedentary lifestyles who don't exercise very much, and maybe they just don't eat as much. If a sedentary lifestyle is the most contributor, you're kind of showing your own bias by concluding that sedentary lifestyle and obesity are the exact same thing.
Oh, actually, it's obesity, then sedentary lifestyle, and then it's like smoking and things of that nature.
Just addressing your own little slip of.
What I'm saying is, like, I would say that you would find. How many physically active obese people are there in comparison to physically active non-obese people, in comparison to how many obese sedentary people are there in comparison to how many skinny sedentary people are?
I don't know. Do you have any data on that? You're the one who made the claim.
I'm just saying, when you see people
nothing, right? Probably just your feelings again, right?
Sedentary lifestyle.
Yep,
I already did the CDC thing. Do we really need this again? All right.
And I'm going to yell about it until people believe me that I'm right.
Everyone, okay, so we're gonna go into final statements on this. Now, I think I'm gonna borrow something from the homie Dylan Burns, and when you're giving your final statement, don't fucking interrupt. All right. So, when I'll go to Signatural's gonna say something. He's gonna say something great because he's a smart guy. And no one interrupts him. Let him finish. I will give you, let's say, let's get a maximum of a minute. To do this, all right? So, Signatural, and we'll go down the line. Signatural.
The body positivity movement, just to reiterate, is a movement that's mainly focused on self-esteem and the acceptance of others based on their body. And when we say acceptance isn't necessarily something that glorifies. It's not necessarily something that props up on a pedestal, right? Like acceptance does not equate to those things. I remember people were making the same sort of judgments about things like, homosexuality as an example, right? Acceptance might equal like, putting it on a pedestal or glorifying it. I'm not saying you literally feel that way about homosexuality, but that's commonly an argument that you would hear when talking about acceptance of things in society.
Okay, Dylan.
Believe it is an American duty to actually eat as many Big Macs and Whoppers as possible. I think 90 to 100% of the population should at least be over 300 pounds. If not, I don't believe you love America. I think Endernax and obviously Sushi just hate the American way of life. And if they want to all be skinny people, they can go to Sweden. Okay, they can go with the communist Sweden. They can develop the communism over here. But over here, I like my
Venezuela.
personal liberty. Okay, and that's my official position.
Okay, so Blasiot is next on my screen, but I want to give the people on the right the chance to say something. Then you guys can respond to them as you give your final statements. So I'll give Suspect Sushi a chance, and then Ender next. So Suspect Sushi.
Wait. Shouldn't we get the privilege of having the last closing statements, given that we're outnumbered?
You want to do that? All right, fine. I thought it might be more fair, but okay.
Okay, let the right wingers talk, and then let all the lefties dogpile them before the end.
All right. No, you know what? Fair enough. That's okay. Bastiat then.
Yeah, look, I share some of the skepticism of our friends in the right wing, with some of the claims made, but on the whole, I think the idea that society would be better off if people were not shamed and humiliated for their weight, but rather allowed to come to their own decisions on how to handle their weight on their own good time. I think that would be better. So to the extent body positivity means not shaming people, but just kind of letting them live their lives, I'm all for it. That being said, I would be for that, I guess, to the extent it didn't get in the way of kind of a broader sort of conversation on public health, but it doesn't sound like it would do that. It just sounds like we're talking about on an individual basis, treating people the way we would want to be treated. And it sounds like from the research that has been shared that would lead to the best outcomes anyway. So sounds good to me.
Okay. Then Demon Mama.
Yeah. I thought this was an interesting shouting match, but one thing I found that we didn't even talk about was the fact that it's been well documented. In fact, I posted a journal that was done, a journal entry that was done on this by I believe this was by Harvard's medical school, that talked about how pervasive medicine's bias is against overweight patients, that the media and social bias against overweight people actually prevents those overweight people from having better health outcomes because of how pervasive the bias is. And I think that right there is kind of a nail in the coffin of anyone who would stand in opposition to a body positivity movement that hopes to address the social, emotional, and mental factors that can go into people who might be overweight not getting the help or the good healthcare that they need. And I think that this sort of callous but the callous and almost mocking tone that was adopted by both Suspect Sushi and Endernax, and this kind of tells their hand, doesn't it? I mean, when you advocate at first that that you believe that an effective measure is to look in the mirror and call yourself a fat motherfucker, that kind of tells you where your bias is. So even if you say, "Oh, I denounce shaming," but then you immediately afterwards advocate for shaming, kind of hurts your case a little bit. But yeah, I would recommend that anybody who's interested in this issue do some research on how pervasive medicine's bias against overweight patients actually is, because as it turns out, there's quite a bit of data already been done on this, and it's pretty well established.
So
the body positivity movement.
You're running out of time.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's all.
All right. Mark Monkey, go ahead.
All right. So the body positivity movement is solely about mental health. It's about creating a mental health space that people can actually be receptive to accepting more healthy activities. And that includes mental health. See, the problem that we're having here with our friends on the right is that they don't understand nuanced conversation. They want to see everything as either black or white. That if we're not continually shaming people for being fat, that's a problem. But we don't want to shame them too much. They'll at least give you that, ignoring the mental health problems that come with it. Now, one thought that I've been incredibly obsessed with was this idea that Endernax had, where he said that he didn't want to have to pay for fat people and people's sedentary lifestyles, which is something I heard him say, which dips a little bit into eugenics and kind of worries me, but I'm just kind of curious about that. That was a little weird. If you want to address it when it's your time, go right ahead, but it's something I heard. That's all I'm saying. But yes, there are a lot of factors here that do lead to obesity, and just eating badly is not the only thing. Sometimes that it's because of poverty. Sometimes it's because of being overworked. And yes, we can work to change societal issues. That does need to change, along with our view on improving the self-esteem of people who are larger.
Okay. Thank you. Mind waves.
Look, I don't really think I need to argue against anybody else on this topic because I think it's been pretty much done. But I do just want to say, in line with my recent rebrand to Skate Weeds TV, I just want to, if you're feeling out of shape and you want to, maybe shed some weight, just pick up one of these. Honestly, just pick up one of these bad boys and maybe like learn how to do some tricks or some shit. Like, I don't know, just like bust an ollie or some shit.
Fucking Tony Hawk over here.
Yeah, fuck it, dude. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. All right, so Pixie.
Hi. Okay, so basically, to recap, I do think the body positivity movement is just generally a good movement. I don't think shame really leads people to change. And to address, I think, and your next point earlier made, at least like from what I've read so far, the average value of a human life is like extremely high. Like I think the average human like contributes like something around like $10 million to the economy. So unless if like their cost is more than that, like yeah, we should probably help them out medically. And even if it was more than that, like, shouldn't we try to do whatever is best for a general populace? But yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna let Suspect Sushi go first of the Oh, so you want Internex to go before you? Okay. All right. Well, then I'll let Internex go. Go ahead.
These people are so fucking disingenuous. I'm gonna be honest. Listen, I don't care if chat's completely against the fucking.
Hey, my ollie was genuine, dude. All right.
Okay, well,
I don't know about
what?
you, but there's nothing more genuine than an ollie.
You know
Okay.
what? All right, we'll give caveats. Okay, Bastier, Minds Waves, Signature. I didn't hear anything dumb out of your mouth. Dylan Burns, you guys are great people. Okay, it's the other people on the panel who obfuscate, who misrepresent our viewpoints, who don't give a fuck about what we say. They just want to demonize us and make us seem like we're evil pieces of shit because we disagree with them. It's my ending turn. Please shut the fuck up. Thank you. Okay? I didn't interrupt you. Now did I, Pixie? Okay? These people are so fucking stupid. I don't care if chat's against me. Fuck you, chat. You guys are pieces of shit too. Okay? This is all I'm gonna fucking say. I believe that we should have public health policy that helps solve for the obesity crisis. I don't think that having public policy means shame. I don't think that we should have eugenics policy to purge people who are disproportionately gonna be fat. Okay? I don't care about this shit. All I was saying was that it's cheaper to solve for obesity when you have a universal healthcare system, when you attack the root cause of the problem and you don't wait for people to be fucking 30 years old and obese as fuck. Thank you. That's all. Fuck all you guys. Bye.
Prime, I think I was the one that mentioned the notion of paying for people's health choices. And I don't think it's unreasonable to say that once you have a public healthcare system, people's health choices do in a way become a matter of public concern. So I don't think that, I think that to compare that to eugenics rather than to say that, this is a decision about cost.
Because they're all social Marxists.
Very different.
Deconstruct everything. I
don't know what these. I don't know if any of these folks are.
Okay.
I think that to call that eugenics.
Okay. Everyone, shut up. Thank you. That was fun. All right. So this is why I went Endernext to go last, because I knew something like this was going to happen. All right.
Can I just reply to Bastier's concern real quick about funding? Just real quick. The thing that I would take into account, and we could like divvy out the numbers or whatever, is that we are already paying a shit ton for like people's obesity in the United States as it is, and a lot of that is due to people not having the care that they need to be able to prevent obesity in the first place. So I would just caution that. Yeah.
No, what I'm quibbling with is the notion that, and the word eugenics is a big word. So what I'm quibbling with here is, I mean, it's one of those words that doesn't wash off well, So what I'm quibbling with is the notion if I say, I don't want to pay, for example, let's use something I guess is a little more widely accepted as being bad.
Pause
I don't want to pay for somebody's
Pause
smoking decisions. I don't think that's a form of eugenics. I think that's a disagreement about where public funding should go.
Pause for a second.
So that's very different.
I just need to pause you because Mark Monkey has to leave. And we want to thank Mark Monkey. I'll let you jump back in if you have anything else to say up, but Mark Monkey has been kind enough to join us. He joined us at the last second. I don't think he typed in chat, so it's hard for me to actually type out your name. No, there he is. There he is. So I'm gonna shout him out. Oh, great, fantastic. Mark Monkey, thank you for being kind enough to jump in. You are very passionate. I saw about the topics that we discussed. You made a lot of great points, and I really want to thank you for helping to fill in when we really needed you. So thank you so much. I'd love to have you back sometime. Also, my walk-on panels. That's offered all of you because I have my own audience walk-on panels. I'd love to have you all come through. So Mark Monkey, thank you. Do you want to say something about your channel?
If you like my takes and you want to hear me actually be able to finish a thought, come on by. I'd love to have you by. Because I always address everything with nuance. I know a lot of people like to reduce my arguments to the very simplest form, and you know what? They're allowed to do that. But I like to think that I give a very reasonable view, especially since I have a history in healthcare, which is something I think I neglected to mention in the beginning. So that was really fun to have that conversation about healthcare. But yes, please come by. Will you do
What sort of
Rocksmith streams
expertise
on
do you have in healthcare, by the way?
What's that?
What sort of expertise do you have in the medical field? You said.
I worked 6 years as a home hospice aide. I went to nursing school. I plan on going to nursing school again. I worked in medical insurance billing. I worked in reception.
I mean, that doesn't
I
really
worked in
account
medical
for much in
transport.
these-
It does.
I mean, to say that you have
Actually.
I mean, you know.
Being a nurse is an expertise, and I'm sorry, but like you can't really speak with authority towards most issues with the medical field as just being a nurse. So.
I mean, if you were given medical advice,
Okay, well, if
followed
I
up with
was
that,
wrong, that
a
would
little-
mean something, but I wasn't.
Shots
Yeah, but
fired.
you're using that
You were
experience.
insinuating it, yeah.
Shots fired. Okay.
I mean,
Mark Monkey. Is there anything else you want to say about your panel at all? Anyway, I did put your link in chat. Please, everyone, go follow him. He was very kind to us by joining with us, and I hope to see him again one day. Mark Monkey, thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
All right. Okay. All right. Finally, Suspect Sushi. We do have one more thing after this, but Suspect Sushi.
Once again, I was to talk about like the Harvard study. I linked 3 sources in the stream chat, and then about 6 sources in the Twitch chat for you of multiple doctors consistently saying the sedentary lifestyle also has a huge huge correlation with obesity. And on top of the last one was actually from the American Cardiac Association, also leading to how the sedentary lifestyle leads to obesity. So once again, fat isn't healthy. Heart disease is the major primary cause of heart disease is being fat, like morbidly obese. Fine. And the second is sedentary lifestyle, which happens to be the most common element to obese people. That's it.
Okay. I think we're good.
You know, I do want to say for anybody looking for health advice, if you see last username in the chat, that guy looks like he's 20. He's actually 40 years old, and it's all because of powdered greens. So if you're actually interested in improving your health, do what that guy does, because he looks like he's gonna fucking live forever.
He's
typical
40?
Bastier. Hey,
Yeah,
chilling for the end.
You
Yeah.
would
Look like
not
a look
believe it.
forever,
I had no
Figures.
idea, but this guy, it's unreal.
Figures the liberal. The liberal.
Bastier is
shilling for the
actually
end
just
caps.
paid by powdered greens to say that, right?
Actually,
Hey, if you don't believe
wanna
me,
lose
check
weight.
out his stream. And if you think that guy looks 40, I think you're being disingenuous.
Now forget
See
if you
right
want
there,
to
Micro gets it.
and get gains, you fucking go on the carnivore diet and just eat meat like a real man.
Actually,
True.
I believe
My
I
favorite.
I just
wait,
read
the fucking troll.
my favorite.
I
My favorite lobster boy. My favorite lobster boy who got addicted to benzodiazepines said the carnivore diet was a good idea. So I think everyone should do that and also take benzodiazepines for depression. It's a good idea.
all I'm saying, I mean, this is pretty. I think this has been case studied. But if you sub to Dylan Burns TV, you actually extend your life by 5 years. That's proven by Harvard and
This
stuff.
is true.
I did it, and I already felt like the positive health effects from like subbing to Dylan.
Indeed. And if you want to feel those effects now, his link is in chat. So please go and sub to Dylan if you haven't done so already. You're missing out if you haven't done so. And Dylan's gonna have some hot new panels coming up. So definitely make that happen, and we'll discuss that later on.
Prime. Before you get to the next subject, I just want to say I've got to hop off.
Okay.
I wanted to thank you though for the chance to hop in too. This was a lot of fun. It's been a while since I did one of these kind of panels, and this reminded me of just how much fun they are. So I appreciate it. It was good to meet you, Prime.
Okay.
It was good to meet
Before
you.
you go,
Yeah.
I just want to say I have heard you in private on your own stream call out socialists for being like primitive children who are like in a fancy made up environment. Will you kindly do that for me here before you leave?
Look, I clearly reject socialism. I think socialism is a disaster
Based.
that has failed everywhere it's been tried. That being
Based.
said, I don't know that any of these folks are socialists.
I am.
But
They are.
if you're a socialist, I reject your world.
Okay.
But beyond that, I think it's yeah. So I'm not a socialist. But that being said, I think what we were talking about had nothing to do with Marxism, as far as I can understand it.
I know that was
Well,
I'm just a fanboy. Okay.
Bastian,
Well-
if you're not a socialist, how'd you vote for Hillary Clinton?
Look, I support the work of the Clinton Foundation. Frankly, if anybody watching knows what's good for them, you will too.
True.
Now, that being said, though, I just want to say, Prime, it was good to meet you. Signature, it was good to meet you too. Demon Mama, I don't know if we've been on a stream together before, but it was good talking with you too. Sushi, you're a trip.
And
man.
indirectly.
And Endernax,
I'll be
it
feeding
was good to meet you too, because I heard about your I heard about you today. I heard I had a doppelganger out there with the suit. I'm obviously not rocking the suit today, but that was a lot of fun. And of course, Mind Waves, that was quite that was that's very
that was mean.
that was well, Mind Waves. That was some delivery right there. And Dylan, looking forward to seeing you on Friday. And Pixie, is always a pleasure. I hope you all have a wonderful night.
Thank you for being here, and I'd love to talk to you again if that's a possibility.
Wait, Bastian, what's going
sure.
on Friday? I don't know what's going on Friday.
Oh well, a serious 4-on-4 right left. I wouldn't consider myself left, but for the purposes of the panel, it's going to be a serious beatdown on some seriously intense subjects. I don't know if they've been released or not. I'm not going to give them all up now, but Dylan is running a great debate panel. You'll want to check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay, Dylan, if you want to, bye, Bastiat. Have a great one.
Okay.
And if Dylan, because I know he's desperate to do this, Dylan, if you want to advertise right now, we'll advertise again at the end, but I'll let you get in there, but we have to move on to the next topic. So, Dylan.
So basically, this Friday, I'm going to have 4v4, righties versus lefties. It's going to be Bastia, IRI, Destiny, and Prime is actually slotted for one of the slots too. So everybody here from Prime's channel can come over and watch that. And it's going to be against Lecture Fan, Suspect Sushi, who's also here, who's going to be there. Last username, and we're still trying to figure out the last person. Rob Noor has been offered a spot. John Burke has been offered a spot. We're trying to figure out who's going to fill the last seat. That's still being filtered out. But so if you're conservative out there and you really want it, make your case in my DMs.
Before we move to the next subject, can I just get something off my chest so we don't have to start the new subject with any of that?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so Ender, I just want to know, when did I misrepresent you, or when did I, take you bad faith? Because I make a point not to do that. The only, when have I not refuted you with facts or logic, or it was just a super Marxist? Because I'm curious, honestly. Is he here?
I don't think you heard any of that.
Okay, well, whenever he comes back or whatever, I guess.
He might be dropping a deuce. He's sending me something. I DCD'd. This is from Andrew. I don't know what he's saying.
Disconnected.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
You can tell Prime's not a real gamer.
What? Hold on. All right, that was uncalled for, and all right, we're gonna have to talk about that. All right, so we'll move on to our next topic. Hopefully, Endernex can get back into. He probably dropped out of the voice chat. Let me see if I can move him back in. Okay, there it is. Ender, can you hear us now? Ender?
Yeah, I'm here. I just couldn't come back into the private channel. That's all.
Did you hear what Pixie said to you? She called you out. She said something terrible about you.
I asked, when did I take you out of context or I made a bad interpretation of what you said?
All right. Well, the stream is repeating, so 1 second. I believe you had the same interpretation of something that I said regarding shame. Insofar as there was a lot of socialists on this panel who were inferring that because I wanted public policy that countered obesity in the United States, that was somehow equivalent to me advocating for the shame of obese people.
Did I ever say anything?
All right,
like
I'm going to go back and pull the VOD because honestly, with you people, I know that's a fucking meme. Like literally, I feel like you fucking lie, or you don't pay attention to what you say, or the intention behind the words you say. Sometimes it definitely feels like that.
You're
I'll go
so
look through
mad,
it, and
dude.
if I'm wrong, whoa. Hey, I'm not talking to you, Demon Mom. I'm talking to Pixie. If I'm wrong, Pixie, I'll literally go on every stream I ever go on, and I will say there was a time where I debated Pixie, and I was completely wrong. I called her out for something she didn't do.
Okay,
I will say
I'm
that.
happy with that. Okay, chill. We're chill.
Okay.
I like the idea of like really like submissive Endernex, like bowing down to Pixie. Like I don't know.
I'm very submissive
Yo,
all
that's
the
some
time
soy
with my
boy
girlfriend.
shit
Come
you're
on
saying
now.
right now, dude.
kind of hot.
Okay.
That's some soy boy ass shit right
so
there.
I
dude.
want to move on because I want to respect your times. I said to 11, but we have one more topic to talk about. If anyone has to drop out, that's okay because that's when I said it was ending at 11. So you have to leave. That's okay. But I do want to hit this last topic, one that was provided by our good friend now, Signatural, who was kind enough to contribute to the talk. Okay, 1 second and. Okay, so the topic is the world better off with China as economic/cultural leader? Currently, you can definitely say the United States is a top dog, but China is not becoming power. China is is making big moves across Asia, across their territory there, but often to other countries with their Silk Road initiative. The Belt and Road, right? Hold on. There's Belt and what's it called? Belt and what's it called?
Belt and Road Initiative.
Belt and Road. Okay, so Belt and Road Initiative. Yes, they're making big investments into many other countries, as far as Africa. So they're trying to make this entire interconnected economic like superhighway basically, so that all traffic can come through them, and they're doing a fantastic job at it, honestly. But is that a threat? Is it a good thing? Maybe that's like U.S. has competition on the world stage. That is it better not to have one single power that's running everything? Or if it is, then can China be that one power? And can the world operate normally? Like it will be the end that like so many Americans might think it is. So I'm going to put that out to the chat. And who wants it first?
I'll just say if you're a socialist, your answer should be no, absolutely not. You would not want you would not want China to be like the prominent like global power economically.
They're literally putting people in internment camps and forcing them to do inhuman bullshit.
I'd really like to open this up.
Is there anybody? Wait, before we even launch into it, and I won't go into a rant, I'll just ask: is there anybody who thinks that a Chinese global hegemon is better? Anybody?
Because if we all agree that China CCP is pretty shit, we could just go to the bonus question.
Yeah, because I think we all agree.
Okay, but I did too. I've done too much work to not at least get to say my piece on this one. This is my one area of expertise. Okay, so an empire with a red flag is still an empire, and I think there's a lot of people that needs to realize that. When we look at China, and this is this kind of weird perception that, well, if you look at America, they invaded Iraq and they invaded this country, and look at this bombing here or this bombing there. And you know what? I'll be very critical of many of those actions. But let's talk about Chinese global power and where they're headed, right? They recently had a border skirmish with India where over 20 Indian troops died and they annexed part of India. They also have been trying to illegally annex parts of the South China Sea and has a map that they've used for their personal just like power projection, claiming every single island in the South China Sea, even though it's been ruled time and time again that that map is completely irrelevant, has no legal basis. In 2016, when they had a court case against the Philippines at the international, I think it was at The Hague, they lost the case when they were blocking Filipino fishermen from accessing local waters. And you know what they did? They just threw it out, completely disregarded international law. So if anybody thinks they're going to be a better world player when it comes to international law, that's completely abhorrent. Then you'll say, well, what about America? You know, they support a lot of brutal dictatorships like Saudi Arabia. I can point to North Korea, one of the most oppressive dictatorships in the world, which is a belligerent nuclear threat to world peace. And as an obvious example, which has their own concentration camps. And then you talk about cultural power, which one of the things that Specific talked about. Well, they are right now engaged in a campaign of cultural erasure of the Uyghur people, where over 1 million people are currently in concentration camps being forced labor. And now there's even reports of sterilization coming out, which if those reports are true, we're no longer just talking about concentration camps. We are talking about an active genocide taking place. Right? And you could talk about, well, they haven't really invaded countries. Actually, they invaded Vietnam, right? And well, they won't go to the same scale of power projection. Then why are they building aircraft carriers and trying to expand that naval force at such an alarming rate? I mean, anybody who honestly thinks that China would be a better behaved global hegemon, would be better in any metric, is completely out of their mind. And even when you talk about the Middle East, they have exploited the sanctions that we have placed on Iran to put horrible debt traps on the Iranian economy, not to mention the debt traps they've put in other areas as well. Zimbabwe is another example when we talk about African colonialization. In Zimbabwe, they have treated that economy like a plaything when it came to the regime that was there for a while, where they actually had it so that they gave the Robert Mugabe mansions in Hong Kong in exchange for resources, access to resources. I mean, unions were one of the only things that were actually been able under Robert Mugabe to really speak up. And they talked about beatings and abuse that they faced. When we talk about empire, don't think just because they got a red flag or a hammer or sickle or whatever you want to like idealize that they're going to be any more compassionate, because they've shown that they're willing to put their own people in concentration camps, invade other countries, disregard international law, and try to annex land. So don't you ever think for a minuscule second that they're going to be this
Agreed.
Lovely world hegemon. We need to counter
and
them.
Dago wants to make sure that if you support the CCP and China being the global hegemon, you're a bad person and you don't deserve to ever have a dog in your life. You should be banned from having dogs. All right.
That's true.
All right. So like, I just want to say like, I didn't know who was kind of coming into this discussion and everything. And like the big reason why I posited it was to see whether or not like everybody in here was like kind of cool. Okay. And most of the people in here are pretty cool. All right. So it's not a big deal. Nobody who I don't even have a big thing about the whole China bullshit. Thank God. Because I think a couple past streams I in, that question would have been a little
Mel
bit more.
wasn't invited. Mel wasn't invited, Sig.
A little bit more divisive.
Okay. So that's
Wait,
fine.
who's not cool?
Hmm?
Who's not cool?
Oh, I was referring to me, of course.
Oh.
Hey, sushi. If you have to ask, you ain't cool. All
Yeah,
right.
if you gotta ask. I mean, it sounds like a little bit of doubt in there.
I'm more of a go directly for the throat rather than throw shade kind of person. So.
Suspect, really, I think you're a cool dude. You're really fly, man. You're radical. I swear it, man. You're great.
Okay, so I guess we have agreement on this. That's okay. I wanted to make sure to get in Signatural's question, because I knew Dylan would be highly excited to say something about this. So I want to make sure I had it in. But if no one wants to object to it and we don't have any disagreement, we can move on.
I will just want to say, I want to elaborate on that. Like from a leftist perspective, I think it's really like a lot of leftists fall into the trap of like getting into this rhetorical cycle of like, yeah, but like the US does like a lot of really bad things too. As soon as people start listing off like why, having China as like the global leader probably isn't a good idea. But and the way I see it, like having the US be the, the sort of main sort of global power is in my best interest to sort of because I do believe that like making a move towards socialism is something that's going to have to be done on like the global scale, and like I think leveraging the US's influence on the global scale to make that move towards socialism is probably the best move that we have. But yeah, that's all I would say.
And from a SOCDEM perspective, concentration camp bad.
Okay.
From most people's perspective.
Unironically, the United
concentration
States
camp bad.
should be considering military action against the Chinese for putting 5 million people in concentration camps. Like, this is abhorrent human evil that we need to. What do you? You can be as mad as you want, Dylan. I don't care. We need to do something.
Well,
and right now, it's
it's
like we're
okay,
doing
but
nothing.
you wanna, okay, kill
Destroying
millions,
business relations
save
isn't the
millions.
best
I
of
don't think that's
ideas.
well, no, the problem with military action when it comes to Xinjiang, like, what do you want to do? So, okay, let's think about.
Listen, before we get into, I understand it's a very complicated discussion, and you're right. There's a pros and cons. What we should do is what morally I think we should do might honestly not be the best option, right? Like,
Well,
I can understand that in terms of implementing policy and implementing like starting a war with China or a conflict with China would be probably worse, right? I'm just saying that we should be working towards.
I mean, we can talk about something like sanctions on officials involved and terminate. Like, there's like policies that I think would be better to advocate for. It's just when you say military strikes, it's like, of course, like all the alarm bells starts running off.
Right, but it's serious. I mean, we should be treating
That's a
this.
pretty big thing to advocate for. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I understand. We should talk about the severity, right, of this issue. But I think we shouldn't start like floating.
Americans have a history of not getting involved and not caring about the extermination of other peoples until it directly affects them, or like there's some sort of magic switch in public opinion. Like, there's still genocides that happen today that America didn't give a fuck about.
I mean, like, we should have stepped in Yugoslavia a lot earlier. It should have been in 1991, not 1995. There's different examples of that, right? But the problem is, like, if the Yugoslav state had nuclear weapons, we would have had to approach that situation completely differently.
Sure.
Definitely, if it also like the military. Yeah, it's just that specific statement. Like, it set off a million alarm bells.
Advocating for
All right,
invading.
so like, can we just go to the bonus question? Because everybody hates the CCP. WTF?
Okay.
Boring.
So we have 2 questions that are left since we took on Pixies, which was a great discussion. But what are you guys more excited about? Guns at protest or the end of BLM? Which one?
I am 100% behind the end of BLM. Absolutely.
Okay, Signatural, what do you want?
I like guns of protest.
Signatural.
I mean, I gotta go with as far as the end of BLM topic.
End of BLM, so that's 2 for that. All right, Dylan.
End of BLM, because I don't think I've ever actually got to debate Suspect Sushi on BLM. This is gonna be fun.
Gotcha. Demon Mama.
I mean, my vote goes for the discussion of armed protest, but
okay, so
I'm good for either one.
Did you just miss-say what your question was? I thought it was about the ending.
Shut up! I'm trying to get through this. All right, mind waves. BLM.
What's the question?
Yeah. So we have 2 topics left. Which one do you want?
BLM.
BLM. Okay. And then
wait, or what was the
BLM
other one?
or the gun control one?
I don't know. I'll take either, honestly.
Gotcha. All right, Pixie.
My vote matter. I think that there's already a majority of BLM.
Okay. All right. Well, I wanted you all to get the chance to say something.
Are you saying the ending of BLM protests or the ending of BLM? Because Emergency said George Floyd thing.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, sorry.
I love arguing about whether or not Black Lives Matter. Hell yeah, let's go.
I did say George Floyd within the George Floyd protest. The question that is just one. Is it time for the George Floyd protest to end? So they've been going on for quite a while. I think just over 2 months now. There's been movement. There's been movement on the issues at hand, right? And then those statues have come down, which is symbolic. But in terms of like actual pushing things through legislators, that's happened. And attitudes have changed and all that. So considering that, and considering that the Trump administration is just going to crack down harder and harder, it seems. Like, is it best for the George Floyd movement to take a win here and call a victory and leave? So what do you all think?
No. They shouldn't
Wait,
stop.
can I-
Absolutely not.
Can I just say
go
something and then leave for the rest of the debate? I think I hate this subject. I think that if you want to protest and you think that there's social justice issues, you should be on the street protesting and fighting for a better world. So that's good thing. I'm just gonna go get in comfy clothes and chill for the rest of this while Sushi argues with you guys.
So
my dude.
Basically, advocating for the BLM protest to end at this point means you just don't want reform, in my opinion. Basically, what that is saying is that the pressure that is currently built, the movement that has been created, which is one of the largest movements, if not, is actually being considered the largest movement in American history when it talks about the size and scale of the protests and how many cities they've actually occurred. We've got, and we're going into an election at the same time. It's the perfect opportunity to apply pressure to actually bend not only localities, but on a national scale, to the point where you've got Republicans having to say Black Lives Matter, which, while it's symbolic, it shows that the time of transfer of debate is happening right before our eyes. When you look at polling data, everything is set up for a perfect fucking win right here. You know, it's not going to get everything. I'm positive it's not going to get everything. But to remove pressure right now would not only be saying you don't want reform, I think it's a moral wrong when we have the perfect opportunity and we're just going to abandon it, completely abandon it.
Yeah, I gotta say, I agree with Dylan wholeheartedly on this, but also the idea that like any victories have actually really been won legislatively is kind of a little bit misleading. In fact, there's been commitments made, but very few of them have actually been carried out, and I think it's important that the
That's
pressure
why we
stays
need
on
to
until
keep
they
it
are.
on. Exactly.
Yep,
That's why we need to keep it
exactly.
on. Not because
Yeah.
we've gotten the wins now and we all turn home. It's because we see everything in our sights right now, and everybody, people in power, are scared shitless about how it's not ending. The polling data shows it's completely different. A poll literally came out today. 94%, almost 100% of Americans believe police reform has to occur.
Yeah, it's the perfect time to push for all the reforms that should have been done a long time ago. But also, I mean, we're still in the heat of like of a lot of these protests have like not even cooled down at all. Like Portland and Seattle have both been incredible hot zones of police violence. I mean, there's still videos pouring out of Portland of just absolutely unbelievable police escalation, federal black bagging of protesters. This is not even. I don't know. It feels like we're not even at the beginning of it. Is it like why would you pull off the pressure now? Yeah, no way.
Only just beginning. This is far from over.
Okay.
True. You don't stop when you're winning, right? Like you keep going.
No. Yep.
Okay,
What's
piss us
it
off
from
already? Piss us
what's
off.
that
Come on.
Doom? What's that Doom quote from the latest Doom? Rip and tear until it's gone.
True.
Actually, I'm gonna throw you for a loop here. I don't think that the George Floyd protest should stop, actually, because I think it's a consistent reminder that these violent mob tactics are merely just going to turn in our favor and create more optics for the right. I appreciate that the fact that you're firebombing federal buildings, police cars, and minority communities. I'm a big fan of it. I also like how BLM doesn't disavow all the personal damage and deaths that seem to be caused. Just like, for instance, like was it yesterday? Like they found a man who was shot and killed in a Minneapolis building that Antifa and BLM firebombed. You know, things of that nature. So I want them to keep going. I want them to stay just as violent. I have no issue with the federal government protecting federal buildings and picking up these people because they are marked. They just are in unmarked cars because that would make them targeted. But as soon as they get out, it shows what not company, organization they're with, and I think that it's going to help us in the long run. So
you know,
you
know what? You know what, suspect? I kind of respect this to an extent. I also agree with you that the Communist Party should be going through Hong Kong, rounding up the protesters, beating the shit out of them. And you know what? I mean, you might say that's wrong, but if you look at them, the violent mob has obviously turned them against them. I mean, at one point, somebody lit somebody on fire, somebody threw a brick, it killed somebody. These violent mob tactics haven't worked. I mean, it's only gathered international attention. It's only like, I believe that the primary turnout was over 600,000 people turned out for the pro-democracy parties. When it came to local electorates, they seem to win a sweep. And when you look at the American equivalent of this, 94% of Americans now believe there needs to be reform. The majority believe that the protest movement is a positive thing. All polling data points to being in support of it. And as time goes on, that labeling and polling hasn't changed whatsoever. I mean, I am waiting because you got 4
It's
months
getting
now.
more and more on the decline, dude.
Oh, is it? Do you have any data to show that? Because I mean,
I don't know.
oh, wait, because we can look to like an example of this happening right now in Hong Kong. This has been going on for what, 2 years now? 2 years, and after 2 years,
Friday
they
preview
still
right here.
take out 600,000 people to pro-democracy primaries and are dominating it, showing that I think now the national security law, which would be their probably their version of the black bagging that's going on, I think it's got what, like 10% support. And the protests have won, like the protest, like every like kind of like mandate on the protesters have shown that the wider populace support them, even when there's been certain isolated violent incidents like the brick being thrown and the man being lit on literal fire.
Damn, Dylan, it sounds like the conservatives are winning this time around.
It seems they're really winning.
Well, I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that.
I'm so
Sushi was-
tired of winning, dude.
Here's 70% of Americans thinking Black Lives Matter has not proved race relations. There's multiple reports from Tim Pool showing that like we seem to be winning overall about the propaganda war over BLM rioting. So I don't know.
I mean, 94, almost 100%, man.
I appreciate Sushi's honesty in just saying that when he says we're winning, he was literally specifically referencing to black backing protesters against the First Amendment. Like, I mean,
no.
If
you're damaging federal property, you broke federal law and you can be apprehended. Are you high? Like, I don't understand.
I'm high.
Hey, this is
you are to go to your protesters are not like, you know, crazy like fucking anarchists and shit like that. Like what the fuck?
If you're destroying federal property and trying to get inside of federal buildings to cause damage and trying to firebomb and attacking with hammers and attacking a federal officer with hammers, you need to be apprehended.
Whoa, one time. I mean, cannot hear you. Okay. So Sig-Natural.
All right, I just wanted to say, all right, Sushi, do you think that the people that are that BLM as a broad like grassroots sort of organization, do you think that like they are advocating for like destroying like federal property and things like that?
When the leaders of the BLM movement are avowed outspoken Marxists, I don't think they have the best in mind when it comes to political change in America.
No, hold on. Now, who are some of these leaders of the BLM movement?
Okay, let's see here. Give me a second. All right, give me a second. It's like BLM leaders say they're Marxists. So where is it? Right here.
See,
I can get you a couple Daily Caller articles if you want some. Up into the conversation.
I gotta say the fact that he has this as a talking point that they're all Marxists and then we're like, who are they? And he doesn't know who they are, shows that their Marxism hasn't really impacted.
Marxism is so scary. You might actually start like like taking into account Black lives. That's insane. Whoa.
So as a black man, I have this nihilistic view where I don't give a fuck about my own life. This is some wild.
It's just like a non-point, right? Like what does them being Marxist have to do with anything?
It's a spooky word. It's scary.
Don't let him defend it.
No, they're nothing better than American separatists. That's all.
Hold on. Okay, so Sushi, now that not only have you not answered my question, but like you said, like, oh, the BLM leaders are Marxists, and then you had to Google like all this stuff. Like, it's
no. You asked for a citation needed. I'm giving you the citation, and I just linked two different.
Then what's their name then? Because you didn't have their name. He just asked their name. He didn't ask for citation. He didn't ask for citation. He asked for their name. You didn't know their name. You didn't know their name. You're lying. You're lying right now.
Nigga, are you serious?
Yes, I am serious. I am, and you lied. Yes, okay, I can tell you how you lied if you're so.
What a Weasley little liar, dude.
Okay, let me explain.
Still lying.
One at a time.
I threw the accusation, so can I please clarify? Since I threw it.
Hold on. Suspect, let him clarify. Then you can go back.
So he asked, what were the names of them? Any or a name of a leader. And you didn't have the name, and you go and you Google it. You weren't looking for citation. You just didn't have the name. You didn't have to have a citation say the name. For example, if you ask me who the president is, I don't need to Google who the president is. If you would ask me for a citation later, I could just send you a Wikipedia article.
You know the
he was asking for the names. I don't know the names. None of us know the names because it doesn't matter. Because see, no one knows the names. So when you're talking about how Marxism is affecting the movement, I bet 99% of the people involved in this movement don't know who the leaders are,
Bro, I don't
and the
even know my
Marxism hasn't
name.
affected shit.
Well, that's actually part of my
The
critique of
lack
Black
of
Lives Matter is
clarity
that
of
it
the
seems
leadership of the
leaderless.
Black Lives Matter movement gives them a degree of anonymity, so they can like enact their fucking bullshit.
Now you've
Marxist
changed your
rhetoric
argument
within-
completely.
Within, like,
Wait,
the
wait.
organization. What do
This
you
is why-
talking
hold on.
What the
complete
fuck are you
pivot.
saying? A degree of
This is why-
anonymity, like they're keeping
Yeah.
their identities hidden so that they can spread.
No,
their
the fact that the BLM co-founders and like the BLM leaders aren't well known means that they can kind of operate behind the scenes and fucking push their Marxist rhetoric. What are you talking
Okay,
about?
Sushi, hold on.
Okay, I'll let signature and then I'll.
This is literally, it's Signatural, by the way. Holy shit, you guys been calling me Signature for half. That was fine. Okay, but like, I was just gonna say, Sushi. So like, first you're saying that they're definitely Marxists, and it's like, well, no, they're actually partially like anonymous, but they're spreading their Marxist rhetoric through the cloud of anonymity. So like, this is like conspiratorial thinking, then, yes?
No, it's
like,
not. It's ignorance that gives them their anonymity. Okay, like you don't know the leaders. Like I don't need to fucking internalize their name because they're.
And then the dragons and the wizards
But I know
descended
what they're
on
doing.
Washington D.C. with their cultural Marxist magical spells.
No,
and
Sushi, hold
attacked
on.
Lord Donald Trump.
Now, Sushi, hold on. I just need to know, how do you know these people that you don't know, the leaders that exist in BLM that you don't know? How do you know for a fact that they're Marxists?
I watched the interviews. I just didn't want to because they say it. If you watch the video.
Okay, now hold on. These interviews with these, hold on, I gotta dig deeper. These interviews with these.
No,
people,
you're
how do you
literally
know-
not listening to what I said. I said watch the video.
The video you
No,
posted
no,
in
no.
the Discord.
Oh,
Yes.
Wait, I want to say
How they're
something.
avowed Marxists and
Sushi.
trained organizers.
Sushi, can I say something? There's two things to take into consideration here. Wait, I can hear somebody's background music, whoever it is.
I think it might be
Um,
under. Hold on.
Okay, so yeah, so here's the deal. Black Lives Matter. Yes, it's a foundation, but it's also a general movement as a whole, right? You don't need to be specifically part of the foundation to be like, you know what? I think Black Lives Matter. I'm going to go march because I believe in this general cause. So for you to be like, oh no, everybody there is a Marxist, like completely like ignores what the general sentiment of this whole movement is, which is just
Why do they
Black Lives Matter.
Why do they ideologically align with the main group then and don't disavow the fact that they're talking about their Marxist rhetoric within the foundation? Also, like I said before,
Marxist
no one wants
rhetoric
to watch.
sounds based,
No,
dude.
not.
I'm
No
getting
one
on
wants to
board.
watch
Wait,
the
can
video.
you tell
Black
me
Lives
what-
Matter co-founder
Sushi, do you know what
Patrice
Marxism
Cullors
is?
said in a newly surfaced video from 2015
What's
that she and her
Marxism?
fellow
Let him
organizers
finish. Let
are
him finish.
trained Marxists, making clear their movement's ideological foundation. So if you have a foundation in Marxist ideology, why should I fucking like?
Wait, you
think
just
that you're
contradicted
anything
yourself.
less than poison. What are you talking about?
You literally earlier said, oh, they have a degree of anonymity so that like people don't like know that they're Marxist or whatever.
No,
and
no,
then you're
but-
like, oh, they should all disavow them for being Marxist. How can you hold these two views at the same time? They're like contradictory.
They're Marxists when
Patrice
they are, and they're not when they're not.
Protege of Eric Mann, former agitator of the Weather Underground domestic terror organization, spent years absorbing the Marxist-Leninist ideology that shaped their worldview.
Okay. So here's 2 points. Here's 2 points I'd make. Okay, so the first one will be on this one. So Suspect Sushi, we all know that a lot of the founding fathers were slave owners, right?
Okay.
Okay, we know that. But I think
Not
even
all
though
of them, yeah.
let me finish. Some of them were I mean, George Washington did own slaves. And even though that part of them, I disagree with them hardly on that. I think separation of powers, that's pretty cool. The other things they proposed that made America kind of cool, I like those things. So even if I disagree with them on one thing, if I look at the vast majority, if I look at the other things they're advocating for and I like those things, I'm going to work with them on it. So even if their leaders are Marxist, like you propose, and they're advocating for things I like, I'm going to fight with them with it. And on the second point, the separatists, they're all separatist claims. This is literally the exact same argument the Chinese Communist Party made about the Hong Kongers, how they all hate China, want to separate from China. And the other thing, they also called them terrorists. A bunch of terrorist protesters labeled them all terrorists because of a few of the instances that happened, which is the same rhetoric Trump has used. You literally sound just like a Chinese Communist Party mouthpiece right now. You should really change your opinion on the last topic.
Do you literally think that riots are protests? Seriously?
Yeah, so you think okay, then say right now, if you're consistent, say right now that the Hong Kong protesters are just rioter terrorists. Say it. I need you to say it, or you're a hypocrite.
What are you trying to pigeonhole me? You're just misappropriating what I'm saying. Are you kidding me?
But okay, so
No,
do you
no,
think
no,
lighting,
no,
do you think lighting somebody on fire is an act of terrorism?
I think it's you're murdering
Do you
somebody.
think if I take a brick and I smash it against someone's head and it kills them, that's an act of terrorism or an
I
act
think
of
you're
violence or
murdering,
evil?
you're murdering
Okay,
someone.
some Hong Kong protesters did that.
Then you should disavow those people. But like, there's not a
So you
like a
disavowing
large
the Hong Kong
movement.
protest?
I'm
But not the
disavowing those
movement?
people.
Oh,
But like, but
say it.
here's the thing.
Oh, but not
The
the movement.
foundation
Not
of
the
the Hong
One at a
movement. I
time.
agree.
One at a time. One at a time. One at a time.
Excuse me.
Everyone, shut the
Hell
fuck
yeah.
up. We can't. Shut the fuck up.
But once
Shut the
again,
fuck up.
it's like 5v1 or whatever.
Okay. So, yes, it is, because apparently you're the only one arguing this. Endernax has left the building. That's okay. Yeah, so I want to make sure that Suspect Sushi has a chance to actually respond to you guys, because if you're just yelling over him, then this is pointless, right? So, we'll do it.
It's just pretty, okay, sorry.
No.
It's just pretty interesting that the acts of the individual in the Hong Kong protest does not have a basis in Marxist Leninist ideology. And like one of the co-founders was like, was the protege of the Weather Underground, a domestic terrorist group. In comparison, they're not the same thing.
I got this. I got this for you.
What are you talking about?
Hey, can I just talk to Dylan? I'm sorry.
I got it. This is so important.
Okay.
What you're saying about their foundations, you know who they'll point to? This will be the counter. This would be your example of what you're doing. They'll say, look at Joshua Wong. He has connections to the U.S. Congress. Look how many people he's spoken to. He's spoken to Nancy Pelosi. He's spoken to Ted Cruz. See, they are separatists. They got foundation and separatist ideology. This is literally just like a direct repeat of everything I heard. And okay, signature.
So you think being allied with America is like somehow worse than being a part of an organization that has...
What I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you're literally using the same exact rhetoric I see every day from Chinese Communist Party shills and like emails they send me on why I should hate Hong Kong protesters because they're all just violent rioters and they don't disavow the rioters and they don't do this and they don't do that and they all have separatist ideology and they're all neo-colonialists and like this is all this shit I see all the fucking day. Oh yeah, another thing they'll do is they have foundations in neo-colonialist ideology implemented into them by the British, and it's like, oh my fucking god. And even if some of them did believe that they should just go back to British rule, would that invalidate the entirety of the movement? No. Even if I think the people who believe that are like a huge minority.
I don't know, dude. Those videos are pretty telling of the rampant like rioting and looting.
Okay,
like
videos.
I want to hear from someone else. Signatural's been waiting very patiently. Signatural, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the specific video that you're referring to, like it's not like she's not referring to like she's referring to Patrice Cullors referring to herself and a woman she knows named Alicia, right? Talking about, hey, we are trained organizers, Marxists as a sort of verst of insert of things. Yeah, but to say that like, but not only is this not like the like anonymous thing that you were talking about when someone just outright says, yeah, I'm trained in doing this, does not make. Do you think that this makes BLM as a whole like a Marxist sort of movement or a movement to push Marxism?
Yeah, I do, because they're trying to push a class war. They're like not only that, like you said, it's on the
class war.
Like, dude, if you look on their fucking website, it literally tells you all the bullshit anti-American rhetoric that they have. Like, you go to like
real quick. I feel like we can't make any progress. And I mean, you've been railing against Marxism, but can you define for us what Marxism is?
And pause. I'll get Suspect Sushi a chance to think about what that is. But Pixie has to leave. She's been so kind enough to join us. Especially, I believe you've been out of the game for a little bit, but you were kind enough to stop by in my channel. Someone you haven't actually even met before. But that was really amazing of you. And you've made so many really good points, and you brought us that great topic, which kind of accidentally, but in any case, it was a really good topic for the panel. Pixie, thank you so much for being here. Do you want to say anything to the audience?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed this conversation. I had a really fun time on this panel. So I hope you guys all have an awesome good night, everybody, even if I don't agree with you.
I would love for you to come back at some
Pixie.
point in the future, Pixie. You're a fantastic guest, and I'd love to have you back at some point.
Definitely will.
So, Demon Mama, when you're talking about Marxism, are you talking about the thing that started from Karl Marx, the socioeconomic system, and how it relates to class and class relations? Like, I mean, in social
I'm asking
conflict
you what you're
nature?
talking about because you've talked about Marxism so much in this conversation.
Yes, and I literally told you what I believe it to be.
Yeah, you got to let me finish too. You know.
I gave you the end definition.
which is you've been talking about how they're Marxist leaders, all these sort of things like that. But I want to understand what you're talking about when you're saying Marxist, because that's kind of important.
They're basically pushing a narrative that blacks in America are fucking downtrodden and socially oppressed peoples, making it basically a class warfare type system. Thanks for the follow. And like they're pushing this narrative, basically pushing a victimhood culture, and then making these people incensed, enraged, and like wanting them to fucking riot and loot because they say, "Oh, this is a like, what do they say? They'll say, this is a mostly peaceful protest," but you'll literally see people fucking firebombing cars in the background. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about Marxists.
So, Sushi, hold on. You've talked about. I'm sorry, Demon. You want to?
No, go for it. No, I just find it interesting that his definition of Marxism.
Susie's made a lot of strange points that I don't understand. When I go to blacklivesmatter.com/what we believe, it's like 4 years ago, what is now known as the Black Lives Matter Global Network began to organize. It started out as a chapter-based, member-led organization whose mission was to build local power and to intervene when violence was inflicted on black communities by the state and vigilantes. In the years since, we've committed to struggling together and to imagining and creating a world free of anti-blackness, where every black person has the social, economic, and political power to thrive. What about that is like anti-American?
You're not gonna read down to the part where they say they want the absolute eradication of the nuclear family and things like that. I mean, if you're gonna read it, read the whole fucking thing.
Hold on. So let me hold on. Let me control F.
You know, I'll
you
don't have
we disrupt. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna read this out. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. Was that the anti-nuclear family take?
Yes, anti-nuclear family, dude. They're trying to take heritage of the individual.
You disingenuous, so disingenuous. I can't believe that. Holy fuck.
Not only that, they're like people like seizing private property with the Top Chaz movement. Like, I don't know, like how many times they got to do things that's anti-American for people to think.
Chaz? Hold on, Chaz and Chop. What does that have to do? Hold on. That's a separate thing from BLM
and Antifa seizing private property.
Oh, now we're to Antifa? Oh, we're talking about Antifa now.
I said BLM and Antifa.
And the dragons and the aliens met on the moon.
We're like
signed a peace
They're
accord.
like the same now? They're like the similar or the same? BLM don't mean Antifa, bro.
No. That's why this was an and. I didn't say they were synonymous. I said they were
ideologically
aligned when it comes to being anti-American in practice. Absolutely.
Sushi, I'm pretty sure you're anti-fascist. Hold on, aren't you anti-fascist? You're anti-fascist. Come on, I'm sure you can.
But America's not a fascistic state.
But you're anti-fascist, though, right?
Yeah, but Antifa's doing fascist. Okay. They're literally doing fascist handbook type shit to like push their ideology.
There's a fascist handbook.
Like, dude, like, okay, sorry. When someone's saying he's following the fucking playbook of something, they're not talking about an actual tangible playbook. Come on, man, keep up. Listen, what I'm saying is when Antifa are fucking covering their faces, attacking people, seizing private property, establishing shop, fucking doxing people, doing all these things, you're telling me that they're not doing anything remotely
fascism is when you wear a mask and protest?
How did you only hear the first part of that?
Okay, Sushi. I heard what you said. Listen, I'm not here to defend Antifa, and I'm not trying to run away from it. I want to focus it on BLM. Okay, if you have a problem with Antifa, we can maybe talk about that at a later date. But like, I mainly want to talk about Black Lives Matter. You made a lot of claims about BLM, and almost every single one seems to be false. Okay, the destruction of the nuclear family seems.
Hey. So, one at a time, guys. So that suspect Sushi, so you can be heard. Also, let these people be heard, and let's do that so that everyone can talk. All right, Sig Natural, make your point, and then suspect can respond. And I want to open up to everyone else as well. So, Sig Natural first.
All right, you made the claim that like it was mainly they were spreading a Marxist message, right, and everything. It wasn't just they originally was not just simply the leaders are Marxists and things like that, or they were anonymous or something. Everyone knows who they are. We were able to Google who they were and figure out who they were pretty quickly, but that doesn't make it the entire unit of like this sort of Marxist pushing thing, right? You also stated that like they're trying to destroy the nuclear family. I mean, like destroy the nuclear family and like trying to disrupt the nuclear family and replace it with extended families and villages. That's still. That includes the nuclear family. Okay, extended families include the nuclear family unit. That's literally the meaning of an extended family in a village. Nuclear families are within those. Okay, that's not destruction of the nuclear family.
No, disrupting the nuclear family means changing what it is, which is another word for destruction. But like also you said, what was the
disruption? Is destruction?
Like disrupting something that like disrupting the nuclear family and fundamentally changing the nuclear family, in my opinion,
the nuclear family structure requirement, right? That's not
But-
necessarily destroying. That's
As in
like,
the
I feel like a
systems that
semantics.
require you to structure your family in a specific way that isn't like
Yeah.
that doesn't lend itself towards people that have like maybe maybe they're living in a single family or a single parent household. Maybe they're living in a household that isn't maybe they're being raised or fostered by somebody that isn't in their immediate family, etc. Like these are the sorts of things that they're talking about.
Yeah, but this ain't not saying nothing about destroying nuclear family, because within extended
pretty clear.
families and villages, the nuclear family is included in that. I don't know if you know like that's exactly what that is. Like nuclear families are within those structures.
I mean, that's kind of a conservative value, right? To like make sure
Yeah.
that all types of families, like no matter like how you're structured or who's raising who, etc., is being taken care of, and like the community works together to like reach that goal. I mean, that sounds pretty like I don't know. That sounds on board with conservative values, in my opinion, especially if you're Christian.
It sounds very pro-family. It sounds like they're trying to build strong communities in the African American like landscape, which is what we definitely need.
If we want to talk about the cultural issues in the Black community, we could talk about that. But like, listen, when you're trying to disrupt
I'm
the
looking at-
nuclear
we're talking
family,
about
I'm saying you're
family.
trying to eradicate the core foundation of America exceptionalism. All right. So, that's
Nuclear
basically
family is the core foundation of
absolutely
American exceptionalism.
I
Okay.
absolutely believe that. Yes.
Okay, so you think so hold on. So if you think that if like the nuclear family structure requirements or like social pressures or whatever in America were replaced with like a culture of like extended families and villages, do you think that would like hurt the United States overall?
So
I would say the de-incentivization of nuclear families would hurt America overall, and we've seen that it does.
No. But their stated goal, their stated goal of replacing or disrupting or like with extended families and like villages, do you think that is a negative or a positive?
It's a negative, and think of it this way:
Okay,
like
cool.
the lack of responsible parentage in the inner city and minority communities is the reason for like lower education rates, higher rates of crime, and higher rates of premarital pregnancies and things of that nature.
It's a great thing we're not talking about single parents, bro.
Wow.
It's a great thing we're not talking about that.
I literally am also
but like we didn't like
raised by
you're the first one to bring it up.
grandmothers and things of that nature.
So
Nuclear
I was
families
mainly
raised-
raised. I was mainly raised by my grandparents.
I was raised by a single mother as well.
Okay. So I want to make sure everyone else has a chance to speak. Andronax, do you have anything to say? I want to make sure. Andronax, can you hear me?
Yeah. I'll just say, I think that there are reasonable, like, if your perception is that like this community is being disproportionately targeted by police and like they're being treated unfairly and there's all sorts of injustice. I don't know. To me, like I don't really care about the protests as long as they remain peaceful. I think MLK actually had a great strategy. I think there were like internal strategies within that movement to dress Black individuals up as nicely as they possibly could, remain as nonviolent as possible, so that when the cameras were rolling, when people were paying attention, and they got beat up, like, and the police, were racist piece of shit and beat them up. The aesthetics of that were ended up being really good for them. There was a lot of media coverage on the abuses of American police, especially in that movement. So I'd like to see something like more organized. I think my biggest critique of BLM is like, I mean, obviously, I guess it's easy to look back. I don't know what the historical context is. Maybe I'm missing something, but to my understanding, MLK and other leaders like John Lewis, et cetera, were very involved and very much known as like the face of the movement at the time. And I would like to see like leaders in the BLM movement be the face of the movement and organize it in a way like these older protests, because I think that having a leaderless movement leads to a lot of incoherent infighting and like differing opinions on what needs to be done, and there isn't like one person or like a couple of people you can point to and say this is what we want, and so it's hard. It's hard.
Well, I think also though that like we live in a different era, right? Like, and also media was really the media at the time was extremely negative towards civil
absolutely,
rights
yeah.
protesters, and we're seeing that right now as Suspect Sushi is showing. There's all kinds of narratives that are just taken at face value, and spread. I mean, if you go back, I challenge anyone to go back and watch footage like raw stream footage that is all over the place of the protests in Seattle, for example. Like 6 days of completely strictly peaceful protesting that was met every single day with tear gas, flashbangs. I mean, one of the first use of flashbangs and tear gas was because someone in the crowd was shoved forward and their umbrella slightly crossed a police line, and then immediately that tightly packed crowd was filled with tear gas canisters and flashbang grenades, which struck protesters. Then the police charged forward, beating people. Like, this has been over and over and over again. So I just can't help but feel like this is a very, 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 very long way of Suspect Sushi just taking a giant lick of America's boot.
I just want to ask a question, okay?
Imagine not
Ender
liking
Max.
America.
And
Wow.
Ender Max, no one said we didn't like America. I just want to
I
change.
don't know about that.
Ender Max has actually brought up a great point with the civil rights movement, right? There were several, like a lot of leadership and people within leadership and civil rights movement that were Marxist, explicitly Marxist, right? Like, I'm pretty sure MLK's speeches, a lot of his speeches were written by literal communists. So I just want Suspect Sushi, right? Knowing that fact, does that make like the civil rights movement wholly like a Marxist movement?
So
The foundation of Martin Luther King's belief and the reason why he even started the protest was due to his Christian faith. I'm not going to budge from that because it's
Specific, okay, maybe he's got his own intentions, but a lot of the leadership were Marxist or socialist, and MLK himself said some
wrote
fucking socialist
And
things.
Marxist, by the
he
way.
wrote most of his
Like,
own.
you can be Christian and be a socialist. You know that, right? Like,
Right.
There's also the fact that like Martin
like-
Luther King wasn't the king of the movement. He didn't
Yeah.
wear a crown and I mean, he's one of the most well-known figures. But there were multiple like John Lewis is another figure that was in the civil rights movement that never got like the amount of respect that I think
Malcolm
he deserved.
X,
For
Black
Malcolm
Panther
X. There's a
Party.
lot of people who were in
Wait,
the
who
civil
doesn't
rights movement.
attribute anything to Malcolm X? Like, what?
but I just want to say,
I brought that up.
Since there were a lot of since there were socialists and Marxists, like the CIA was tracking them. They knew that shit was happening. They knew there were socialists and Marxists within the civil rights movement. Did that make the civil rights movement a Marxist movement? Like, logic. I mean, like, following your logic, that would logically follow. Oh, he's easier to call.
Hello?
It's convenient.
I'm still house sitting. I'll be here for the next 4 days.
I think that a large part, we
I'm
can
still
look
house
back.
sitting. I'll be here for the
I
next 4
don't
days.
know. I don't know the exact history.
I told you
there are
that.
different perceptions now.
Sushi.
I know that MLK was broadly unpopular.
Yep.
During the movement, and that he didn't become popular until after his assassination. That being said, I recognize that there were multiple movement leaders, and I think it's kind of important actually to have, in my opinion, leaders who embody different parts of the movement. It's pretty obvious to me that John Lewis wasn't a Marxist. It's pretty obvious to me that that MLK was maybe more akin to a Marxist, maybe not a Marxist. And then you had Malcolm X, who was literally a black nationalist Marxist, and talked about white liberals being the scum of the earth.
And then later came to fact and said that Martin Luther King's way was definitely better than his.
Yeah, sure.
He was no
but
longer
I'm
a
saying-
Marxist. He was still a Marxist. Wait, what?
I don't know about that one.
Wait. But I'm just saying that it helps to put these faces to these different ideologies that are represented in a movement, because then you could literally point to, you could say like now everybody, I don't think many people, I mean, maybe there are, but I don't think everyone has the same kinship to Malcolm X as they do John Lewis and MLK, right? Like, they have differing opinions on Malcolm X.
Yeah, often. I mean, but we're kind of determining this by like what's going on with like the black community. I feel like is the more important thing as to whether or not where their things lie. I think a lot of them seem to have
lack of fathers in the home.
Lack of father. What?
You said problems with the black community. I said lack of fathers in the
No,
home.
I didn't say problems. I said the opinions of black people, of the black community on these sorts of
Yeah,
things.
he was really sitting on that one.
And how,
No, I know. I literally heard it
right there.
You literally said
He was ready for
the
that.
problem in the black community. You said that. That's why I literally. I
Okay.
heard.
But maybe I misspoke. Hey.
Mindwaves, do you have anything to add?
No one on the left makes mistakes, right?
No, not particularly. Not so far in the conversation. I just want to say I was browsing through Black Lives Matter's fucking Snapchat or Snapcam filters, and I was so scared I was gonna get blackface or some shit. I was like, all right, I can't do this anymore. Oof. All right. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, fair enough. So Demon Mama, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have. I mean, I feel like this got the conversation went way out to somewhere else. I don't even think about.
I feel the same.
But I did want to make one note, which is just that I mean, there were so so many leaders of the civil rights movement who were beaten and killed. So I can completely understand why future movements would want to move away from having public figureheads who can be killed publicly, and that can take the winds out of the sail of movements. So yeah, I think that's more of a response to how much resistance is given to any sort of protest in this country, a country that supposedly values the freedom of speech and protest. It was founded on revolution. So yeah, I mean, I just
the
think it's
freedom to
important.
throw piss bottles at cops, right? That's not a protest.
I mean, this sounds, again, you're just going into like fantasy land. If you have a
No,
specific example of like you're talking about literally thousands of people out in the street, so one person does something wrong and that somehow discredits the entire movement. That just
If the
sounds
group
like
of people see this person doing this,
that sounds
if
like a
the-
problem
are we
in
gonna
your
yell over each other?
understanding.
I've never done this to you.
I mean, you
This is
literally
wild.
just interrupted my closing statement.
Oh, I didn't know we were
Suspect
closing
sushi, that was
statements.
literally
I'm sorry. I didn't know
yeah,
it was closing.
I was called upon. I know. Listening is not your strong suite. But yeah, Prime had mentioned it, had called on me to answer. So I wanted to make my part known. So yeah, I guess if your view of the incident is that one person anywhere in the United States in any part of the literal biggest mass civil rights movement in history, at least as far as we can tell, as far as we have data for, is like you're just gonna throw that all away because like the Daily Caller or something like that told you that somebody threw a piss bottle. All right, whatever. That's a problem with your.
Hey, look,
ability to
we're
read
all
it.
gamers, right? We've all thrown piss bottles. Let's not act like it's
Kind of
anything,
true. Kind of
okay?
is.
So I actually wasn't calling for closing arguments.
Oh,
But,
interesting.
But I actually want to. So I want to jump on something here. So with what Demon Mama just said, right? Saying that one person in the movement doesn't to discredit it. What about the lockdown protests? It happened earlier. Where a bunch of mostly white individuals were out fighting, didn't like being locked down for all kinds of reasons.
What does your race have to do with this?
What? Because, well, let me fucking finish. Now, like, hold on. So, they were out there, but there were also white nationalists who also showed up in there, right? So the white nationalists. And then what people were saying that those protests were invalid because it's like a white national movement or anything, just like tying the white nationalist movement to the protests, even though not all the protests agreed with them being out there, right? So so was that wrong back then? Were those lockdown protests equally as valid as the George Floyd protests? If we're saying that a small group of people doing whatever within a larger protest isn't representative of that protest, then shouldn't we also say those lockdown protests were also equally as valid as the George Floyd protests that we're seeing today?
Is that sort of directed at me or was that
anybody?
It was definitely. Oh, really? I was surprised. I thought it was just all the anti-sushi show. Okay.
No, you're the only one arguing. You realize that, right? You only arguing.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm the only one arguing. Judas
Shut the
Max.
fuck up! I could disagree with you, motherfucker. This isn't a fucking echo chamber, okay?
Hey, listen. I said I want the protest to keep going because I think it's better optics for us, politically speaking. So
I mean, you also said you also indicated that us is the people who are doing the black bagging. So again.
Black bagging and apprehending people, criminals who are destroying federal property, which is against the law, is not the same thing.
So like, I just want to say like the civil rights movement was not wholly this like a bunch of black people in like suits and ties just walking the streets saying we shall overcome and shit, like it was a very diverse sort of movement with a lot of different kinds of ideologies. Some of them got pretty violent too. Like we don't have a lot of crazy, like we don't have as much like HD smartphones as we did then. You would see that there were people that were violent, particularly after after killings of certain leaders. There were like riots, there were people getting angry, there was looting, there was some of that going on too, that was being cherry picked by the media and like pointed out as, oh, this is a violent protest. I believe you could even see political cartoons making fun of Martin Luther King. He's like standing on a street and he's like, oh, I've had another peaceful protest today. And the back, it's like fucking destroyed and everything. It looked like it could have came out today, this year, and all that stuff, like it's not.
You disavowed violent protests. And
so did the leaders of BLM. Okay, as you would say, right? And so did like those people, like they all disavowed the violence and all those things. Of course,
I not from the leaders that I directly quoted. I never seen them disavowing it.
You've never
Look,
heard?
dude, he hasn't
But
read it
also,
on Blaze
but also, I find it pretty interesting that
Daily Mail.
when that I'm consistently told that I shouldn't use generalities when it comes to the protesters, but you want to use generalities about the cops with this ACAB mentality.
Oh, you didn't say anything. Hold on, I didn't say anything about ACAB bullshit. Don't say
No,
that.
this is mostly alluded to Demon Mama of all people, right? So maybe ACAB is too extreme. Maybe ACAB is too extreme. But like the issue thinking that police need to reform, like that they're institutionally racist or they're over militarized or whatever, and like they kill people. And
there's also a difference, which is that you just make stuff up, and I have actual data to show for anything.
No, but I have actual data to show that systemic racism.
You couldn't even remember the names of the leaders you were supposed to.
Why would I care about the names of American separatists? Why would I care about the names of American separatists when I can literally just bring it up in 2 seconds?
Whoa, man, I'm super dizzy right now. You pivoted so hard, I can barely fucking sit down.
Also, I did want to address PrimeCayes question about the other protest. Their right to protest is absolutely valid, but what they're protesting for and the way they're going about doing it was phenomenally stupid. So the right to protest. Oh, absolutely, they shouldn't be beaten by the police. Absolutely, and guess what? They weren't, as it turns out.
Turns out that
if you really want to have some police beatings, the best thing you can do is send the police, super armed police in against a bunch of people protesting for racial justice. That's guaranteed to get those police real mad.
But you're like, it's based on a bullshit premise. Like, it's based on a bullshit premise.
Are you justifying like the police being mad?
Wait, are you saying that George Floyd's death is a bullshit premise?
Dude, like, I'm pretty sure even David Duke of all people were like, yeah, they definitely killed that guy. What are you talking about? You're talking about like such rare instances in American culture that's just blown up by the media is like a fucking epidemic when it comes to policing.
Hold on, Sushi, hold on. We kind of let this happen, right? We kind of let him just like go into like the whole police brutality thing. I just want to say like nobody here at this panel, nobody yet did generalized police's actions. Nobody. You just brought it up. Okay, I just want to say that. Okay, like when we talked about like how there's violence in the civil rights movement and there's some violence here going on right now that we did not say there wasn't going on. You're just like, oh, you just want to say generalities and say this. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're all against generalities here, aren't we?
What's that?
When you attribute people upholding the law to black bagging, that's making a generality.
They literally black bagged a protester.
She didn't attribute the police all to black bagging. She said there was black bagging going on in Portland, which is true. By federal, that's literally true.
Yes, literally the federal government.
And then right after you're like, how's an American boot taste? Making it like seem like I'm some kind of like fascist sympathizer or something.
No, actually that's not right afterwards. It was about an hour of you talking about fantasy stories about this.
And we're talking about
it was after he was justifying their black bagging, right? He was saying, yeah, good. I want those protesters to be like black bagged and like it's totally okay. So,
well, that's not even generalizing the police either. Even calling you a bootlicker isn't generalizing the police. That's just calling you a bootlicker.
Yeah, that's just me insulting you.
Which
I stand by the way. You are probably the biggest bootlicker I've ever argued against.
Interesting.
All right, we don't have to do ad homs here. Everyone's.
It's ad hom. That's an insult. There's a difference.
Oh, okay.
I'm just insulting him. There's a difference.
No. Anyway, like these people are charged with the crime. I don't understand where like the black bagging part is. I don't understand. Like, if they're being charged with the crime, the federal like,
didn't they have to release the dude that they black bagged, and then didn't they admit that they weren't able to charge him with anything?
Yep.
They arrested multiple people.
Yeah, dude, good one.
You're just
so if the officers arrest multiple people and they got a hold of somebody that was innocent and they let them free, wouldn't you say that's a good thing?
No.
Interesting.
Rights being violated for no crime is a good thing.
They shouldn't have been black bagged.
And you were accusing the Black Lives Matter or movement and Antifa people of being fascist, but you're making like these fascist like excuses for literally like violating people's rights for no good reason. Like I don't know, dude.
Like Sushi, if someone comes in an unmarked van and like comes at you or whatever and like black bags you and puts you in there, and even if you didn't do anything, that's still fucked up even if they let you go. That's still a massive violation.
I feel like you might be calling on a fetish here at this point.
No. Well, first and foremost, I'm actually someone who's worked in tandem with the police force for quite some time.
But you're the black bagger then?
I mean, I guess if you want to call me a black bagger, that's
what do you mean by that?
Anyway, unmarked vehicles.
Hey,
it actually increases the efficiency of like stopping crime in an area. When an unmarked vehicle is there, it makes it so it's less of a target, and they can actually like ascertain who's actually causing like damage to the community.
Hey,
or
you know
causing
what
crime.
else would increase police efficacy if you define efficacy? We could just give them like tanks and stealth bombers.
We already
and
have
stuff like that.
tanks. We already have tanks. We don't need stealth bombers.
Oh, cool. I mean, great. I'm sure you're for that too. But I mean, you're literally arguing that, oh yeah, like letting the police not have marked vehicles makes it easier for them to do their job of capturing random people without actual charges.
I said
innocent people too.
Yeah, innocent people. Yeah, just forget it. Why don't we just have the police?
Are you saying
to be fair, he was specifically talking about examining the community, because if you're in a police car, it's like they will act differently around you, and like that was what you were talking about, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm actually surprised Dylan just came to. Oh my God, he came to my side.
I think having officers identify.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
I think having officers identify. I think it's better to initiate like civil rights. Civil rights are more important than simply having officers like be anonymous and stuff like that. I don't think that's a good thing.
They have identification on their uniforms.
You were just on their uniforms, not on their vehicles, right? Like
actually, in the videos, I don't think they did.
Regardless,
I don't think they did.
Regardless, I think marked vehicles is all in all an important thing for like just civil rights as a whole. Just being aware that the police are in the area and these things.
You just have a
like
fundamental misunderstanding of it.
Well, hold on.
Fundamental misunderstanding. Great. You just say I fundamentally. You don't explain. Please explain how I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question. If you have a marked police vehicle in a high crime area, is it or is it not a target or a deterrent to stop something that is basically degrading the community as a whole from them being able to actually enforce the law?
I've lived in a pretty high crime area before, and when the police vans come through, I don't know, we stop what we're doing real quick. You know, we're just like, oh fuck, the cops are here. Like let's.
Okay, but like when they're on a stage,
an Uzi and shoot back, dude. Come on.
Like, all right,
I think there's a way to cut through this.
Stops people from their criminal activity temporarily. An unmarked vehicle allows people to find out what's happening and then make a surgical strike against criminal elements.
Okay, all right. So,
do you know literally anything about the police force?
Hold on. Please don't ask me questions like that.
Okay, so hold on. I got a question. I want to understand what you're saying here, suspect. And I'm not trying to jump on you. I'm just trying to clarify what you're saying, because I believe previously you said it's a deterrent, right? Having an unmarked vehicle in an area as a deterrent. However,
no, marked. Marked is a deterrent temporarily for crime.
Okay.
But unmarked vehicle helps actually solve the issue.
Okay, so it solves the issue by actually arresting a quote unquote criminal as they do a crime. Is that what you're saying? Like they because you can see them do it because they don't know you're there. I want to be clear.
Yeah, you can see like where the distribution of the drugs are. If it is a drug thing, things of that nature. You can see these things. Yes, you absolutely can.
Okay.
The best.
I'm just someone who quite literally handles like the movement of officers for a living,
great, bro.
and I literally hear all that stuff. But you have no foundation in this job, so how are you going to tell me?
Please don't tell me that stuff like that. I don't like that sort of gatekeeping bullshit. Anyway, seeing some guys like on the street like exchange shit and all that stuff, that doesn't necessarily tell you where the drugs are coming from. Okay, like you have to do a lot more undercover work. That takes a hell of a lot more than just like unmarked vehicles. It takes a lot more of like going into these sorts of systems to figure out actually where drugs go and where
you're
they come
eliminating
from.
a trap house. That puts a good stand. That you're eliminating a trap house. That puts a good mark into it.
Let's dispense with the smoke screen. Would you advocate for like basically like having like Judge Dredd run around and just like take out anybody without needing to like follow any procedures or anything like that? Is that like the sort of thing you want? Do you like secret police and that sort of thing, or? Because I mean, so far, basically, what you've said is that the police shouldn't have any sort of oversight. We should allow them to use literally camouflaged vehicles, just grab people off the street without bringing charges against them, and then release them randomly. It just seems like you're basically just defending anything that the police do, no matter what. I mean, in fact, that's literally what you've been doing this entire time.
To be fair, in private, this is not what he advocates for. I've talked to him. Listen, it's an uncharitable interpretation of his viewpoints. Okay, it's not what he wants. He wants responsible policing as much as you do. He just has a different viewpoint.
Why would he defend? Why would he stand in defense of the state?
Because he's not trolling. He's concerned. He's concerned about the perception of policing in America, and that there's a certain group of individuals who want to go too far and completely get rid of policing, and that's what he's concerned about.
Is it
he can be concerned about that?
But is it not a completely a valid critique to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't have federal police that weren't even asked for in Portland come in and grab
Doesn't matter.
random protesters.
It's federal property.
Hey, there you go.
Okay, okay.
Endernax, I appreciate you trying to go on his side, but yeah.
Here is the suspect sushi police form bill. Okay, we fire every single police officer and then replace them all with clones of Dog the Bounty Hunter. That's what I say.
Okay. So,
Wait,
so
is that what you say, or is that what you're saying that I say?
Okay. I want to respect everyone's time. Because this is supposed to be 8 to 11, and we've gone way over that, which I thank you all for doing that. So I don't want to start disrespecting anyone's time by like keeping you guys longer than necessary. All right. And we've given this about an hour of conversation. So we're going to do final points, and then I'll shout you guys out afterwards. Okay. All right. So final points. Sig Natural, go ahead.
I want to thank all of you, especially Ender and especially Suspect Sushi, for being good sports. Okay, and for not getting too crazy and for sticking out until the end, not like rage quitting kind of, you know. That's perfectly all right. I want to thank everybody else that showed up at the panel. You've all been, you know, really nice people. I heard a lot of nice points from everybody. Everybody tried to get in. I think that this was a panel where, even though there was a lot of people, everybody actually did kind of talk a lot, except maybe not like I think I only got 2 of us, maybe Pixie or so, and Mindwaves maybe talked a little bit, but a lot of us talked a lot. I really got like the ideas and views out of like almost everybody that was at this panel. I wouldn't mind talking to a lot of you in the future. Maybe not specific combinations of certain ones of you, but like, you know, all of you in the future I actually would look forward to talking to.
That's fantastic. Dylan is taking a bathroom break. Okay, so I don't know why you. I'm gonna get to you. We're just closing statements.
I just wanted to go next.
But you didn't want to be okay. All right, if you want to go next, fine. Suspect Sushi, go ahead. If you want to go next.
I just want to tell Sig Natural, Endernax and I are a package deal. Every single time we possibly can, we are going to push the anti-body positivity agenda in every single one of our debates. No, I'm just kidding. Also, listen, like when like the gatekeeping thing, I'm not trying to say that you're precluded from having an opinion. I'm just saying that I have a more in-depth view on policing. And when you say, no, you're wrong, and I'm like, I've done this for years, I'm telling you how it is, and you say, oh, no, that's not right, or I don't agree with that. It's just not, it's like, I'm not trying to keep you out of the conversation. I'm just saying I have a good foundation on what I'm talking about. But like, listen, I appreciate all of you. You're all handsome and or beautiful or whatever mixture you want. You probably all have extremely gorgeous brains.
Won't you invite me on a date? Yeah.
I paid a lot of money to make you a date. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I better be getting something out of that. Just saying.
So, so then we'll jump back to Dylan, who was away before. Dylan, so make your final statement. I'll shout you guys afterwards. So, but make your final statement. And also, people, the stream doesn't end after this. Just so you know, we're gonna have our normal walk-on thing, a walk-on audience panel after this, like just after this. So the stream is not ending. I want you to know that. And also, anyone who's here, currently here, is welcome to take part. In terms of the panel here, you're also welcome to take part in that. So, Dylan. Your last statement.
Sorry, I just saw a funny picture. I mean, I would just say that when it comes to this overall, we when we look at movements from the outside, we get a very different perspective. When we look at the protests in Iraq against the government, usually people will come to the conclusion of, wow, there's so many people on the street. Some of them feel so desperate that they have even decided to be somewhat violent even. Wow, that's such a bad situation. The government really needs to do something to fix this. When you look at Hong Kong, we have much of the same analysis. Haiti, Chile, Bolivia. This has happened all over the world. And usually when somebody looks from an outside perspective, that's the conclusion they can come to. But once it's your own country, immediately it all goes on its head. That, well, no, it's the rioters' fault. It's all their fault. In my opinion, even when it comes to rioting, that rioting was inevitable. It really was. If you turn up the pressure valve and leave issues unattended to, it is inevitable that rioting happens. So I don't view rioting as, while you, of course, can talk about personal responsibility of the individual who acts out in that manner. That is a discussion you can have. I think rioting needs to be examined more as a failure of government to address the needs of its people. And I think that type of framing is going to be important going forward, not only for a foreign policy perspective, where this is how it's usually viewed through a foreign policy perspective, but we need to start using that view domestically.
Okay. Demon Mama.
Yeah, damn, I really agree with basically everything Dylan said there. I just wanted to thank you for having me on. I don't have a whole lot more to add on here. I think that we should be really careful to grant further credence to the most powerful institutions in our country. We should take critiques of those institutions very seriously. And yeah, don't apologize. It's a real bad look to make apologia for unconstitutional federal kidnapping of people with no charges being pressed. So yeah, I will never fight on the side of that, and I don't think anybody should. So, but all right, that's basically all I have to say. Thanks for having me on.
Fair enough. Okay. Mind waves. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I don't know how the fuck I skirt by on these panels without researching the topics at all. Literally zero beforehand. Yeah, I don't know. Thanks for having me on. I don't have much to say on this wrap up, dude. But yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah.
Okay.
The absolute mind lad.
Yeah. So
Endernax, you'll have the final word on this topic.
I guess, here's what I'll say. I disagree vehemently with Suspect Sushi on this, and we were actually we were getting in a little bit of a scuffle right before the stream, and I was like, oh fuck. But that's actually pretty typical with all my right-wing buddies. We don't agree on a lot of shit, and we get into a lot of arguments, and I appreciate not having people tell me I'm right all the fucking time and to argue with me. I think deterrence theory and the theory of like broken windows policing is archaic and stupid and old, and there are far better ways to get rid of crime. One of them is a war on poverty. But whatever. We disagree, but I love the guy, and I'm not gonna fucking. I don't know. To me, I just it was a lot of people all dogpiling one person, and I think there should be a little bit more balance in panels in the future, Prime. But that's just my critique. All right, cheers.
No problem, but it's gonna be hard to get right wingers to come on. I would love more. Don't get me wrong. I would definitely love more, but it can be difficult to get. I can only get what I who accepts. So I just want to say that.
Low key, some right wingers are scared, dude. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
Endernax, can I call you eugenics?
You could say that, but it'd be completely incorrect, and I'm not in favor of eugenics, so it's a little mean.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, you can ask Dylan how difficult it is to schedule these panels on a weekly basis. And just like having that balance, that's a lot harder than So, yeah. Okay. So, but I want to thank every single one of you for being here. Again, the stream is not ending. We're going to continue on with our walk-on panel. So if you disagreed with anything someone said here, or you agreed, you can come on to the panel and we can talk about it. So you, the audience members, can be part of the panel as well. So that's happening next. So don't go away yet. But I'm going to shout out these fine, lovely people, and they're allowed to stay for this upcoming panel as well if they choose to be. So we are going to go. We're going to start out with Signatural. Signatural, again, kind of to jump in here. We only met previously, but I was impressed with him with a short time that I'd seen him on a different panel, and then I was impressed with him here. He was a whole lot of fun. He made fantastic points, like left and right. Like I was thinking, like if I was like participating in this panel, would I have made those points? I'm like, nah, he bested me here. So I'm so thankful that Signatural was here because he really added a lot of substance to these debates. So thank you, Signatural. Signatural, do you want to shout yourself out to the audience?
Yeah, I'm Signatural27 on Twitch.tv. I'm trying to finish Psychonauts right now in preparation for the sequel. I fucking love that game, and I can't believe they're making a sequel 15 years later. I'm going to fanboy out so much. But in between that, I also do like some React Danny content and all that. I react to articles, I react to videos. Typical, political, like a lot of lefty stuff there. And the biggest thing I do is go on panels like this one.
Yeah. You did a really good job. Thank you for being here. I will save Dylan for last. Okay. So Demon Mama. Could you? Well, first of all, I've been again on the same panel with Demon Mama as was a Signatural. Hadn't gotten to know her very well, but she was kind enough to jump on this panel, and she did a fantastic job. She was very passionate, I would say. I think probably the most passionate person here today, and was very forceful in getting her points across. So she makes for very good content. I just found out.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're a really good panelist, and I appreciate you being here so much. Because you didn't have to do it, but you took your time out of your day to do that for us. So I really appreciate you being here. So Demon Mama, do you want to shout yourself out?
Yeah, you can follow me at Demon Mama Live here on Twitch. On Twitter, I'm at Your Demon Mama. I do a lot of political commentary. We do some news stuff. We do a lot. I've been doing a lot of panels lately. Panels are fun for me. And I do some debate content. So if you like any of that stuff, you want to hear pick my brain, come on over to my chat anytime. I'll be streaming after this for a little while. But other than that, thanks for having me on. Yeah, and I'm gonna drop my stuff in the chat too.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so please follow her. She's been a lot of fun here, and I'm sure her regular shows are actually pretty great. So we're gonna go to Mind Waves, who was also kind enough to join us, who was here last week. And yeah, despite apparently not preparing at all, he comes off really well on these panels. So must be white privilege. And we are so thankful that he takes time out of his day. He's he's a much larger streamer than I am anyway. I'm
a very busy man. I'll let you know. Yeah.
And he has a family. That's right. You have a family, correct?
Yeah, but they're on vacation right now, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, he's got, I'm sure, a very beautiful family, and he runs a very fantastic stream that I know of. Thank you for being here. And Mindwaves, you want to shout yourself out?
Yeah, dude. Thanks for the compliments. You're like really good at making me blush. I like the way that you like shout everybody out at the end of your panel. It's so cute. Yeah, if you want to check me out, Mindwaves TV, the link's in the chat. I basically just hang out with a bunch of different a bunch of other people in the community, a bunch of streamers and shit, and sorry, I'm still recovering from that dab. Holy shit. Basically we just bullshit while we play video games, and tonight I'll be playing Terraria and maybe hanging out here a bit more. So yeah, that's what I do. So yeah.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. And I'd love to have you back. I'd love to have all you back. Because I thought you guys were a great group. Now we like to Endernax. Endernax, who I'll shout your channel out, but I know you don't stream as much, right? Endernax. If you have Endernax, if you have other socials that you want to throw into chat, be sure to do that to advertise yourself. But Endernax is a staple on my own panel. As you can see, as I told you, he has a lot of spice. He's a charming guy, but he adds a lot of spiciness to my channel, and it's always very much appreciated because fantastic content. But that being said, I do enjoy talking to him. I think it's a whole lot of fun. Even though sometimes we disagree vehemently on things, he's always a good sport, and he comes back night after night. I'm happy to do that because it's not everyone participates on that level, right? Not everyone can, and not everyone will. But Endernax continuously does that night after night, so I'm always thankful when he shows up. And he was kind enough to join in this panel. Endernax, you want to say something about yourself?
Yeah, I'll just say this. Hey, to all you fuckers in the chat. Yeah, I said fuck you earlier. I'm going to say it again. Fuck you for calling me a fascist. Fuck you for calling me a Nazgul. Fuck you for calling me a Nazi.
No, they called me a fascist.
Just because we disagree on a couple of things, I'm sure if we had a 5-hour conversation, we'd both come to the conclusion that I'm not a fucking Nazi. But your little brainlet take can't stand that different people have differing opinions, and they might not. You're fucking literally evil, disgusting human beings just because they disagree with you. I know it's fucking hard to understand. But
damn,
besides that,
they also called me a fascist, dude.
All my homies hate the chat. Damn.
Have a wonderful night. Listen, no matter how like crazy it gets or like how fucking exacerbated I get or fucking crazy, like listen, For me, it's feelings over facts. Okay, I'm not Ben Shapiro. Okay, I'm the opposite. I'm the antithesis. Nothing I say is true. Everything based in emotion. Okay. In all seriousness, I have a good time here. It's not like I hate any of these people. Like even like the most adversarial person on this panel against me was like Mark and Demon, and like I don't hate them. I don't even dislike them. Honestly, honest to God, 100%. I think they're actually
we
pretty
just
good
petty
people.
them, right? For being yeah.
I don't pity them. I think that they're just human beings and they're living their own lives
Amen,
and they got their
brother.
own opinions. All right. You guys, hey, have a good night, but fuck you, chat.
Okay. Now we're going to shout out Suspect Sushi, who again I've had a few dealings with. Him and I disagree on so many things. So many things.
Everything.
Pretty much. But again, I'm always thankful that he comes back. He was the only one arguing in that last arguing for his side in that last debate, or last topic. But he stood it out. He doesn't run away. He's tough like that. So I appreciate that because not everyone can handle that. It was a lot coming at you, but you handled it the best you could, and I really do appreciate you for that. Apparently, so I want to get it right this time. It's Suspect Sushi, it's Jafoof, and Swole Team 6, correct? There we go.
Yep. And also, if you want to talk to somebody who knows about the carnivore diet and isn't a fucking soy boy, you come talk to me, all right?
Hey, you leave my Soylent out of this, all right, buddy?
Yeah.
Soylent's based, all right?
Soylent's based if you like don't want to be able to.
Look, I'll let you do your macho, whatever the fuck meat shit, all right? Just leave my Soylent out of it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Listen, I stand, all right? Soylent.
Soylent,
Got a whole fridge full of stuff.
You're all good. You're all good. Have fun with that.
Do you want to say anything else about your channel? I already put your link in chat, but I'll do it again.
No, honestly, like I know that 99.9% of all the people in your chat are never gonna watch my content, but it's nice of you to shout me out regardless. But I do encourage you to actually just raid my shit, like hate watch me. I don't care. I just want the viewers and the followers. So just do it, man. Call me whatever you want. It's a pro free speech chat. You can say whatever as long as it's not against TOS, and you can insult me all day as long as you hate watch me. All right. So have a good one.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, Dancing Spoon, I'm not a fascist, so you need to chill out.
Okay. So, and then we're saving Dylan Burns here for last, the homie Dylan Burns, as I always call him, who again has been so incredibly kind to this channel, has helped this channel grow to the extent that it has already, and who has invited me on. I think you're the first person to like invite me on to a panel, and I'm like, I don't know why you're picking me out, but you did, and that really helped my growth actually. And he's been and he hasn't stopped. Like he's got a founder's badge because he was an early supporter. Even now he's getting me on panels, and he's going to get me on the Destiny panel that we're going to have on Friday. So I mean, that's very kind of him to do that, because he doesn't have to, but he continuously goes out of the way to help this channel. And then he comes on here and makes fantastic points. He hits foreign policy hard. He shows that he knows his stuff, even though if I disagree with him sometimes, and I do. But I can't ever say that he's coming from an ignorant point of view or a person who's just talking out of his ass. No, he comes out here with the facts. And he does a fantastic job of arguing for himself. So if you want to see that amazing content, then please go to Dylan Burns TV. There's a link in the chat. Please follow him. He's going to have an awesome panel later on Friday, and also throughout the week. He does good stuff. Dylan, do you want to shout yourself out?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Endernax, I can't believe you be so abusive to chat. I love you, darlings. You're all wonderful. You're all special. You're all special. But you know how you can be the most special and the most wonderful? If you go to Dylan Burns TV and Twitch Prime, then you're the most special little someone out there. And I love you all.
Dylan, you gotta learn that this strategy doesn't work.
You're abusing the parasocial relationship built on Twitch's
being
platform.
Abused. Okay, you want to hate them. That's how they.
You're
then they
all
pay
wonderful.
you. That's how this works.
But I don't hate them. They're wonderful. They're all wonderful.
What if I said
Watch,
this
I
is
guarantee
my first...
it'll work. Watch. Chat, you're fucking dumb. Dancing Spoons. What kind of fucking name is that? Fucking. All right. Watch. I bet you I get a sub right now.
What if I tell you that this is my first affiliate stream? Okay. Well, will I get subs then?
Oh, awesome! Yes,
it's also my most spicy.
Look! If the U.S. Army can do it, then at least I can do it. Come on. give me a little slack here. If I can try to form those if they can do the parasocial relationships, I can do the parasocial relationships. Hey, thanks for the tier 1 sub. I really appreciate it. Wow, Mindwaves, how's your tier 1 sub coming? Wow, I guess they all need a
Oh,
follow.
thanks for the tier 3 sub, chat. Wow, thanks for the 5 gifted subs. Heart slipper, dude. Thank you so much. Holy shit.
I think I just got a $5,000 donation. Wow. I'm not even gonna read it out. You know, it's okay. They'll be all right.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
A real one.
Okay.
Happens all the time.
Oh, and also someone else like gave Bastiat a sub much earlier, like Chinchilla. He did that. Thank you, Chinchilla. And welcome, Bastiat, even though you're not here. Welcome to the Worst Generation. And Rage Weapon, who subscribed, who's probably not here either, but that was like many hours ago. But anyway, every single one of you, thank you. You didn't have to participate, but you did. You took your time out of your busy days to spend it here with me. Let's not forget, Sick Natural is just a brand new affiliate, so let's give him some follows, give him some subs, let's encourage him to keep doing this because obviously he's very good at it. So, oh, and I have a new sub. Okay, thank you, Finger, for donating that hot tier 1 sub to Aiko. Thank you. And Aiko, thank you for being here and welcome to the Worst Generation. Thank you, Finger, so much. All right, so everyone, you have the option to staying with us as we continue on, because we're continuing on with this with a walk-on panel, an audience walk-on panel. You have the option of doing that. If not, thank you for being here and have a fantastic night, every single one of you.
Peace out, guys.
All I have to say is I'm going to keep my stream on, and you will see that I won't ad hom any of you because I respect you all, no matter how much I disagree with you. And I don't think that will be reciprocated in kind. I don't know. I have a sneaking suspicion.
Okay. Well, if anyone wants, yeah, I can. You guys can jump into the Thousand Sunny chat if you like, and everyone else will join. All right. See you. Okay.
Good attempt on your first one, man. Your first invite only one, obviously.
This is my second one.
Yeah, man. I respect it. I'll respect it. Okay. But have a good one. Hey, God bless. Have fun. I know you don't agree with anything I said, but that's cool.
No, it's cool that you took the time to spend with us. And I
Rantwar,
really
thank you for the
that.
subscription.
So yeah, I just want you to let you know that I really do appreciate